NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place to tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Ladies and gentlemen, I can see we're already going to have a spirited conversation because the biggest report for the Knicks to come out today is that Obi Toppin and Tom Thibodeau had an intense and heated altercation after Game 4 versus the Miami Heat. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna read off the article that really spawned this entire conversation. And we'll get into it. Tony, what's poppin' with you, brother? How you feeling?
What's good, Sam? Shout out to the chat. Yo, Black is time. Oh man, this has been an eventful offseason, man. We haven't even got to the draft, free agency.
Tell me about it.
It's going crazy out here.
It's already nuts. The draft is tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? The draft is tomorrow, and already there's, stuff going on with the Knicks. There's trades happening and taking place, all kinds of stuff going on, man. It's going to be, I think it's going to be a hell of a draft, and it's going to be a crazy offseason. But let's kick off this show by talking about Tom Thibodeau and Obi Toppin, really Obi Toppin and Tom Thibodeau. All right, because Fred Katz from The Athletic put out a report today, and I'm going to read excerpts of this report. Put out a report today, and the biggest part of the report is that Obi Toppin and Tom Thibodeau had a very heated altercation, verbal altercation that almost turned physical, though. All right, it almost turned physical. So here we go. I'm going to blow this up so that people can read it. For those who have not read it, I'm going to blow it up so that you can read it. And I'm going to read it off to you. This is from Fred Katz from The Athletic. According to league sources who were present, once the final buzzer sounded, the final buzzer of Game 4 with the Knicks versus Miami, Toppin aired his grievances to Tom Thibodeau. The 24-year-old wants to play, and he wants to win. That evening, neither happened. An intense verbal altercation occurred between the player and the coach as the group trekked to the Kaseya Center visiting locker room in Miami. It spilled into the post-game meeting once the doors were closed. On this occasion, as Toppin yelled at Thibodeau in front of teammates so fresh off of a loss that they were still in uniform, assistant coach Rick Brunson stepped in to stand up for his boss. Toppin and Brunson got into it for a moment. Randall, Evan Fournier, and Josh Hart pulled Obi Toppin to a side to cool him off. Now, Fred Katz goes on to say the disagreement, or the source, I guess, goes on to say that the disagreement did not infect the Knicks culture. In fact, on the evening it happened, a league source told The Athletic that he believed it was more likely the fracas that would give the players a jolt after a spiritless loss. Toppin and Thibodeau met the next day to patch things up. The evening after, the Knicks won Game 5. Toppin played his regular rotations and played them well. Life was back to normal, even if the Knicks fell a couple of nights later to end the season. There's no fallout, no lingering resentment. Sometimes competitive people get competitive. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's listen, that's basketball, though. First of all, I'll say this. I'm not surprised that there was an altercation or a verbal altercation. That happens all the time, believe it or not. People are gonna say, "Oh no, it's the Knicks. It happens with the Knicks." You know what I mean? It's Tom Thibodeau. It happens all the time to every team in the league, guaranteed. So I wouldn't be surprised there. And I don't think anyone should be surprised that they got into an argument. Obi Toppin, you could see throughout the season that he was getting frustrated with his role, with his minutes. You know what I mean? You seen him get into a heated exchange with RJ Barrett on the bench. You know what I mean? And that's frustration. You could see Obi sometimes walking to the bench, shaking his head or throwing his hands up or whatever. Not that he was demonstrative with it, but, just walking off in frustration like, yo, I'm playing well, but you're still taking me out. You're not giving me the minutes. You know what I mean? And I understand his frustration. But still, there was an altercation between the two. You know what I mean? Obi, I'm sure, is frustrated at his role in New York. And, yeah, they should be parting ways. You know what I'm saying? They should be parting ways. So I know there's a lot to discuss here about Obi, about Tom Thibodeau, about the way that Obi's been developed. All of that. There's a lot of things to get into. I know the chat has a lot to say about it. So let's talk about it. Tony, let's start with you. Your thoughts on this entire thing.
Oh man, it's like multiple things. Like number one is content, right? Mm-hmm. First it came out that the Knicks the Knicks and Obi's frustrated with his role and wants to change the scenery, right?
Right.
So somebody reports that. Then you got cats coming out and talking about something that happened, I don't know, 2 months ago?
Yeah, about that.
Like why wouldn't you just say that when it happened as opposed to now? So you feeding off the thing you seen that got some buzz. So you know what I mean? Like it's just all right, let me use this opportunity to divulge some information. Like you said, stuff like this happens all the time. It's understandable him being upset with his role. Like a lot of Knicks fans are upset with his role. So I mean, to me, it's just the writing on the wall is Obi probably is not here moving forward, right?
Right. I mean, I think that's clear. Now, here's the funny thing, though. I'm not sure if it was the same article, but I read another article where at the trade deadline, when people were calling about Obi, the front office was like, I'm not trying to move him. Because there's still people that believe in Obi. The problem is, Tom Thibodeau's not going to play him and Julius Randle together. He's not going to play him over Julius Randle. You know what I'm saying? And, I don't know if Mike D'Antoni was here, he would play Obi Toppin over Julius Randle. Right? Tom Thibodeau's not.
Or he would play them together.
Or maybe he would play them together. Exactly. He would get more minutes. He would play them together. Obi hasn't been able to beat out Julius Randle. Tom Thibodeau doesn't play this style of basketball that's going to allow Julius Randle and Obi Toppin to play together. The fit's not going to work then because if I'm Obi, I understand it. You know what I'm saying? I would understand. I understand. Let's say that. And I would feel the same way. And I would want to go to a place where I can play my 30 minutes. And if I prove to not be good enough, then at least I got a chance to prove it. You know what I'm saying? So I understand the frustration. I get it. I get the frustration. Does it mean that, but I also don't want to take away, I understand the frustration, but I don't want to take away the fact that, because I believe in this wholeheartedly, you got to beat up the guy in front of you if you want to get minutes. You got to carve your minutes. You got to do what's necessary to get those minutes. I don't know what the requirements were or are from Tom Thibodeau. You know what I mean? But clearly he didn't do what, or hasn't done what Tom Thibodeau wants him to do to carve out those minutes. You know what I'm saying? And maybe it's just about fit. Style of playing fit. Maybe it's that. Maybe that's the biggest thing. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But sometimes it doesn't work that way. I mean, sometimes it doesn't work that way. What do you think, Tony? I don't know. Whose fault is it in your eyes?
I'm gonna say it like this. If I'm in Obi's camp, if I'm Obi or if I'm in his camp, and I'm looking for a way for you to for Obi to increase his playing time, whether that's with Randall or in place of Randall, I'm focusing on the defensive end. I'm trying to put that as my best area of improvement.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, the way he's being utilized is not to his strengths, but at the same time, the way he's being utilized in the long term will make him more of a complete player, right? So I think it'll help him in the long run, but they're not really focusing on using him at his strengths.
Right.
But the one thing that he could focus on and harp on to solidify himself would be the defensive end. If you could be a plus defender, you know what I mean, or out defend Randall to the point where now you become a more of a plus than a minus, you know what I mean? That would be the focus, because your strengths you're not being utilized through, you know what I mean? And you're working through the areas where they want you to work at. So the only thing that you could do to kind of get more time is defend better, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree with everything you said prior to. I wouldn't be mad if I'm Obi. I understand your frustration. You'll probably be utilized to your strengths somewhere else. It is what it is. But if we're talking about I gotta choose,
Right.
it's an easy decision.
I'm in the same boat. I'm in the same boat.
Right.
It's an easy decision for me too. And I know people in the chat probably going to be mad because I said that and this and that and the third. I don't think Obi is on Julius Randle's level right now. Bottom line, I don't think he's there. I don't think he does what Julius Randle does. You know what I'm saying? I hope though that he goes somewhere and he becomes everything that some people see in him and that he wants to become. You know what I mean? Because I really do like the kid. So I want to see him succeed. I want to see him go someplace and become an all-star maybe. You know what I'm saying? Or, you know, if he has that in him, become an all-star. I'll say this. I wish, and maybe this is, because I've spoke about this before, that one of the things that I missed from Obi was the tenaciousness, the anger, you know, being mad, using that ferociousness to propel his play. You know what I'm saying? And maybe this is, you know, maybe this was that turning point for him. Maybe, or maybe it's at least one of the turning points that says, yo, you know what? Let me just get out. Let me be ferocious when I get out here on the court. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like that was something that killer instinct that I felt like was missing from Obi. You know, and maybe it was in there, and this is helping him to bring it out. You know what I mean? And we see it. It's probably not going to be with the Knicks, but hopefully we see it. You know what I mean? Josh, what's going on, man?
Evening, fellas. Good evening to the chat. Tony, you so funny, man. You're like, oh, well, you know, it is what it is. And I'm on the same boat. I was just kind of teasing you on the chat earlier. This is no big deal for me. I love the fact that there's some fire in that locker room. I know we don't get a chance to see that a lot, but I love this. I love hearing about this, a player actually being mad, the Obi RJ thing earlier in the season. Just little moments like that. I wanted to see more of that going into the season from some of these young players. And although I would rather have it under different circumstances, I'm glad that that's there. So let me just get that out the way first and foremost.
Yeah.
But I wanted to address the notion that, because Sam, you say this all the time, you got to beat the man in front of you, right? I don't think that this is about Obi thinking that he deserves to play more than Julius Randle.
I agree.
I don't think that's what it's about. The article mentioned, and it didn't specify what exactly Obi was at about, but if we all had to assume, I think Obi wants a larger role in the team.
Yes.
15 minutes a game, or 15 minutes or less per game is not going to cut it for him. And they also mentioned that Thibodeau refuses to play both of those guys together. I think it was more about that and Obi getting more minutes, not necessarily beating out Julius Randle and taking his spot. I think the entire team and Obi knows he's not better than Julius Randle. Right. So that's the part that I want to get out. And I think it goes back to the stubbornness of Thibs. And he's the head coach. He makes the decisions. But I think that's really, really, really what it comes down to, instead of him beating Julius Randle. So I mean, but it is what it is. And he, he may get a bigger shot somewhere else, and more power to him.
And the reason why
real quick,
ahead,
Sam, that's why the defensive improvement or the defensive end is the catalyst for him playing. Because if you're a plus defender, then you can play with Randle. You know what I mean? As opposed to it being my only minutes are in replace of him. The problem is he only gets to play when Randle's out, right? When Randle sits, he doesn't get to play at another position, 2, 5, or 3. So either expand your ball handling and whatever it is that gets you into that 3 spot, or expand your defense to the point where you can play that 5 spot, and that's how you crack.
For Tom Thibodeau, though, right? And that's what Thibs is thinking, right? For Obi as an individual. But
absolutely,
I'm just going to be frank here. We haven't seen enough. There's not a large enough sample size to determine whether that lineup with Julius Randle and Obi Toppin was going to be unsuccessful defensively. In fact, in the small amount of minutes that they did play, they didn't perform that bad defensively, right? So as a fan, us looking at it, I'm going to talk about myself specifically. I think that Obi Toppin should have got more minutes playing alongside Julius Randle. I know me and Sam talked about it. Going with the smaller lineup might have helped us in that Miami series based on the way they were playing us.
Yeah.
Right? So, and, I can't say it as Thibs. He's the coach, but that's just my opinion on that. And I think Obi must have felt the same way.
Yeah.
Or in some aspect.
And, the only reason why I say, mention that about beating out the guy in front of you is because basically, with the way that Thibs was playing his lineups in rotations with Obi, that's the only way he was going to get minutes. You know what I'm saying? Right. And in that case, you have to say, well, all right, this is what I got to do. I got to get better to do this in the third. But I agree. I felt like they should have been playing a smaller lineup. It didn't have to be all the time, but I felt like that lineup could be successful. I really did. I know. Plus, Obi had shown this season, in my opinion, the ability to protect the rim some. He started to use his jumping ability to contest shots at the rim, block some shots at the rim. And I do feel like they should have used that lineup more. I really do.
But as a coach, you're looking at it one way. As a player, or let me say from my own perspective, as a player who was never like the best player on the team, right? I always had to figure out a way for me to play, for me to establish myself, for me to get into the coach's good graces. So that's the way I'm looking at it. Like, how do I make the coach realize I'm an asset? How do I make the coach say I can utilize him more than just one way? I can utilize him here, or here. So that's why I say, improve some of them other aspects of your game. And I think ultimately, we said it off camera, Sim, whether it's here or not, the way he's being utilized, I think ultimately is going to make him a better player, whether it's for the Knicks or for some other team, because he hasn't been utilized to his strengths. So all his weaknesses have kind of been getting better through these 4 years.
Okay. And another thing, Josh, that Josh mentioned, just about them, just showing that heart where they're fighting about something, arguing about something. I believe every team, you gotta have a little bit of that.
Yes.
You gotta have a little bit of that somewhere. And if you have a strong culture, you're going to get better for it. If you have a weak culture, it could tear you down. But if you have a team with a strong culture, your team is going to get better, right? Because me and Josh go at it all the time, right? It sharpens your sword because now I come in like, let me make sure this right because I know Josh is going to challenge me. You see what I'm saying? So let me make sure my stuff is on point. That's how you get better, though. Because if everybody comes in, if no one ever challenged me or whoever, right, I can just say, I'll say this. I don't care. Whatever. I'll just say it. Ain't nobody going to challenge me. You see what I'm saying? Like, so the only way for the team, I think, to continuously to get better is to have a little bit of that edge. You know what I'm saying? Where people are not afraid to say, yo, you're not doing this right. You know what I'm saying? It keeps people sharp. And, I like, you got to have a little bit of adversity. A little bit of adversity keeps you on edge and keeps you ready to perform. If everything is kumbaya, when adversity comes, you're like, oh, my God, what am I going to do?
You don't know what to do.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
End of the world.
Right.
Somebody said before Uncle Fulio was here to hold MBK accountable.
I'll give 2 examples. Those areas of the country that aren't used to snow. You know what I mean? I'm from upstate New York. I'm from New York City, but I live in upstate New York. It's snow all the time. We know what to do. You know what I mean? Some of these cities that get snow for the first time, you know what I mean? It'd be a catastrophe. They don't know what to do.
That's
it's
true.
Like, yo, we not used to this. You know what I mean? All types of accidents, whatever. So that's just a comparison to what you were saying.
Yeah. I mean, it's good to have a little bit of that. You have too much of it, of course, it's going to be, it's not going to be good. It's going to be negative. But, you need a little bit of it, I think. And I seen on Twitter, some people saying, oh, the old Knicks with drama is back and stuff. And I'm like, nah, if you read the article,
yeah,
he clearly says it didn't hurt the team.
It didn't. Yeah.
They were able to have a discussion afterwards to talk about it. Like that's, it happens. And if people aren't getting mad after losses, then you probably got the wrong players
and
on the team.
Help them win Game 5 too.
Yeah, exactly.
People made such a big deal about, the narratives with Randall was trying to fight quickly and this and that. But look at what happened with the Miami Heat, right? Could you imagine if that was Julius Randle and the narrative was he tried to fight Tom Thibodeau and Derrick Rose had to step in and almost fight Julius Randle to stop, you know what I mean?
You're talking about Haslam and Butler and Jimmy Butler and Scotia.
Absolutely. Yeah. But look where that team just ended up in the finals. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just narratives and you know what I mean? Like people running with narratives.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like sometimes these things actually help build a culture as opposed to tear down a culture.
It does. Obi's, he's gonna be gone. He's gonna move on, right? What do you see the best fit for Obi? The best fit for Obi for the best. How do I want to say it? The best place for Obi that can also bring us a good return. You know what I'm saying? I personally think, obviously it's a business. You want to get the best return possible, but with the way that I feel that Leon Rose operates, he's also going to try to put him in a good spot. You know what I mean? Where do you think Obi lands?
I mean, just based off of history and interest, and Indiana sounds like the best option just because we know they were looking at him.
I don't know if that's happening anymore. Indiana just traded. I mean, I guess they still have that 26th pick, but they traded the 29th and 32 to Denver for a 2024 pick.
I mean, but that's not a player that doesn't fill the need or the position. So, you know what I mean? I mean, as far as best fit, they need a 4. Who else needs a 4? Or who else has a legit pass first point guard, knows how to cerebral, you know what I mean? Somebody who could unlock Obi's true talent or potential, right? Like work to his strengths. So that's why I was thinking Halliburton will find him.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that as a good fit. But anywhere that has a good facilitating point guard, I think that would be the ideal fit for Obi, because they're gonna know when to feed him, where to feed him, how to feed him.
Okay. All right. Josh, your thoughts, man.
For me, I don't. Again, I agree with you, Sam. I don't think Indiana is a realistic possibility at this moment. I'm going to say Chicago. I think it's going to be probably a bigger market than like an Indiana or a Charlotte or something like that. I think it's going to be like Chicago, maybe Dallas, something like that. I'm thinking like those kind of teams. But I'm really looking at Chicago, and it's mostly because I hope the Knicks are able to land Zach LaVine. So I think Obi would be a part of that trade, if anything.
Yeah.
And that'll be the best possible return, like what I would do personally.
As a throw-in, he can go anywhere. I'm looking at who's valuing, you know what I mean, him, or looking at him for him.
Yeah.
So I that's what I say. I agree with you. If he's a throw-in or like the young player with potential, yeah. But
yeah, and then of course, like we're
they
seeing,
still got to feed him.
yeah, like we're seeing with trades that have already happened. He could get moved to Chicago, and Chicago could decide, well, we're going to move him on to Indiana for this or something like that. Things like that could happen as well. I would be looking to see if can I package him for a player we need. You know what I mean? For a wing or something like that. That's what I'd be looking. Can I package him to help us get better, because the East is getting better. You know what I mean? The East is getting better. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, they're getting better. So you got to try to make it work. You got to try to make it work. Yeah, I could see him. I mentioned a bunch of times about Washington. I could see him going to Washington and obviously having a role, being, one of the centerpieces of their rebuild. Does that happen now that KP is possibly going to Boston? I mean, I guess it still could. I guess it still could.
Only if it involves Kuzma.
Kuzma already declined the option, though, right? But he can still, I guess it's not finalized yet, like Porzingis. So I heard he did the same thing.
Right.
Declined the option and then.
Yeah.
Well, Porzingis, he declined?
I thought
he did. I thought he did. I'm not sure.
No, I think he opted in, and then the trade, and then he'll get extended over there. Kuz
opted out.
He opted out, but it could be a sign and trade.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure if that's happened yet with Kristaps Porzingis.
It's not official yet.
It's not official yet. So
it's not official,
but that's
the reports are like Boston's gonna extend him as opposed to
right.
You know what I mean?
So according to Woj, Porzingis. Well, first of all, the Celtics, according to ESPN sources, the Celtics are working on a trade to acquire Kristaps Porzingis in a 3-team deal that sends Malcolm Brogdon to the Clippers. LA will be sending Marcus Morris, Amir Coffey, and a 30th pick to the Washington Wizards. Sides still have more work to do on an agreement. And then he followed it up by saying Porzingis would opt into his $36 million for 23-24 to make the potential trade happen. But there are still outstanding issues to be completed before a deal can be reached. Boston's Danilo Gallinari would be in the deal to the Wizards, according to sources. So I guess there's still a lot of things that have to be done to make the deal work.
Which means Gallinari has to opt in as well.
Correct. Yes.
Because he has a player option.
Okay,
correct.
So now I'm seeing in the chat people say that the deal fell apart. So maybe this is a new something that just happened, about the deal falling apart. The last thing that I seen from that's actually the last thing that I seen from Woj just before I got on here. But anything could happen between the time that I got on and now. So I don't know. I guess it's possible though that the deal could fall apart.
Yeah, people saying they're still working on it.
They're still working on it, right? So they're probably still working on the deal.
It's so many moving parts, especially in a 3-team trade. You know what I mean? Like all it takes is one out of
Actually-
three to be like, hey,
Actually, no. So Woj just 4 minutes ago, he said the three-team talks on a Porzingis Brogdon deal with the Celtics, Wizards, and Clippers have fallen apart. So there you go.
Wow.
So there you go. It fell apart. I wonder why.
I mean, all it takes is one of the three.
That's all it takes.
You know what I
is-
mean? To feel like,
Yep.
I changed my mind. All right.
Yep.
Collapse.
So for
You
people
know what I mean?
for people in the chat saying, "Oh, I'm glad this Porzingis talk is over." The Porzingis talk is back on for the Knicks. Porzingis talks are back on for the Knicks, ladies and gentlemen. They're back on for the Knicks. Let me get to a phone call real quick. Caller, you live. Tell me your name and where you're from.
Hey, what up, fellow Sam?
What's going on, man?
This is Reggie from Silk Sutton from Brooklyn.
Silk, what's going on, man?
What's going on? I'm glad I'm for that Porzingis. I want to keep that Porzingis up alive. I want Porzingis on the Knicks. I don't want DeAndre Ayton or Cat.
Okay.
Give me Porzingis. I got one question for you guys on the Obi thing. Remember after Game 5 where Brunson said, we just got to stick together. We just got to stick together. I was like, why is he saying we got to stick together? All we got to do is stick together. We can pull this off. We stick together. I'm like, did I miss a fight or something that happened? But remember, he said that in the press conference after Game 5.
Okay.
All we got to do is stick together and we can pull this out. I'm like, stick together? But I thought y'all were sticking together. So that kind of, maybe because of Game 4, that happened, and he wanted to pull everybody back together after Game 5.
I mean, it's possible that he was alluding to something like that. You know what I mean? Just the team not falling apart, blah, 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 blah. So it's definitely possible. You know?
I know. See, me, I Obi should go. There's no, because even Clyde said it. We want them to play together. But Clyde said at the end of the season, if Obi just played better defense, he could get more minutes. Oh, Clyde said that during one of the games one time. He sees it. Everybody sees it. If Obi just played better D, they could put him and Randall together. Because Thibs is like a guy who, if he see you mess up 2 or 3 times, his hair falling out. He can't take it. He got to get you out the game.
Nah, yeah, he can't. Yeah, but let me ask you: do you? Because I felt that, I felt that Obi's rim protection got better this year. And not that you're relying on Obi for rim protection, but I felt in moments you seen Obi, use his length to defend the rim, right? Use his length to sometimes alter shots, get blocks. I thought he started doing a much better job this season at doing that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
He did that better when Randall wasn't there with him. But the few times they put them together, whoever Obi was guarding would get right by him and get to the paint.
Now, on the perimeter is one thing. On the perimeter is one thing. You know what I mean? But, I get it. I still think that there were times when they could have went small. Because there are games where the defense is non-existent on either side, and you're relying on the offense. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Where the game is just one of those high-scoring games. And, you'll go all the entire game like, well, we got to put defenders out there. And it's not stopping the other team. There were times you could have went small. I felt in the Miami series the Knicks could have been successful going small because when Kevin Love was out the game, Miami, they were small. Bam Adebayo at the 5.
But Miami small would have been too quick for Obi. All on the small guards running around, cutting, slashing this way, that way. Obi's not going to be moving like that. He could go with guys a little bigger, like small forward, small.
We didn't give it a chance to see, I guess. You know what I'm saying?
I know. Right.
We didn't give it a chance to see if it could have worked at least a little bit. Because here's one thing. People ask a lot why Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson don't do pick and roll. If you have Obi out there on the floor, Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson can execute a pick and roll. It's a little bit tougher when Mitch is in the game because he's in the dunker spot. So that's why when you see a pick and roll with the Knicks, it's normally with Mitchell Robinson, right? Because Julius Randle can spread the floor a little bit. If you have Obi Toppin out there on the floor in the corner, or wherever, because he can shoot the three, you have a better chance of executing a screen and roll with a pick and roll with Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle, which I feel could be, good for you offensively. You know what I'm saying? Because he spreads the floor. And that's why I think that lineup could be successful. But like Josh said earlier, you don't really have a sample size to see how well they could do, or if they even would gel defensively as a lineup. You know what I'm saying? Because you just hasn't been out there for that long.
See, I think what they decided on, cause when the trading deadline, when they were talking with Indiana about Obi, and then they picked up that kid Roby, who basically kind of do the same thing Obi can do. He's a little slasher. He can shoot the three a little bit, but he plays a little bit of the defense, and he's about the same size as Obi. They picked up that kid to replace Obi because they knew they were going to trade Obi this year. Because that Indiana talk with Obi at the trading deadline, that came out of that was close. They just didn't want to break up the team in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
So then 2 or 3 weeks later, they pick up this Roby kid when the season's over, who can do the same little 15 minutes of 3-point shots, play a little defense, do a little slashing that Obi can do, and he's much cheaper. I think that kid was picked up to replace Obi.
Hey, that's possible. That's possible. You know what I mean? So, we haven't seen him. Man, I don't know if we'll see him in summer league, because how long has he been in the league, Isaiah Roby?
Yeah.
Been in the league.
He's been about 3 or 4 years. I think he's like 23, 24. So
right.
Yeah.
So I doubt you're going to see him you won't see him until training camp.
He's going to be in the summer league. We ain't got no players, so we ain't got no draft picks, so he'll be in the summer league.
I mean, I guess he could be, but I was thinking maybe you wouldn't see him until training camp. I don't know. It's possible. It's possible.
They got him and Psychoto. That's what they got to go to summer league. They ain't got nobody else.
Yeah.
And these undrafted players we gonna get.
I mean, they'll pick up some people. I guess they'll pick up some guys. Every year the Knicks, sign a whole bunch of people and then waive them.
Right.
The next day and all kinds of stuff. They'll be doing some crazy stuff. They'll have somebody going to summer league. I don't know. Where do you think Obi should, and where should he land?
I think it's going to be Chicago. I think it's going to be for the Levine trade. I think it's going to be Obi, going to be Barrett, going to be a couple of picks, and we're going to get Levine. That's what I think.
So you think Levine is coming to the Knicks, huh? I mean,
yeah, I think that's a done deal.
they were having a discussion at the trade deadline. Obviously, it didn't fall through, and I think they ended by saying, we'll pick this up in the offseason. So it's definitely a possibility.
Because they didn't want to lose Barrett in the middle of the season like that. So that's something that's for the Knicks. Trading Barrett can be a big deal. So that's something you're gonna wait till the end of the year for.
Yeah.
You wouldn't do that with Barrett in the middle of the season. Controversy and fans and all that, the media will be on that, and that person coming in is not used to the system and gonna take time to get adjusted. So he's catching heat from the jump in the middle of the season. So that's something I think they were thinking about, but they decided, let's just wait till the end of the season for that kind of.
Yeah. We'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. Listen. The Knicks teams are making moves to get better. Right. That deal fell through with KP, but just a minute ago, Wojnarowski said the Wizards are still working on ways to get Kristaps Porzingis to the Celtics in an opt-in and trade scenario, but it won't be a three-way with the Clippers. Porzingis still has the ability to decline his $36 million player option and become a free agent. So they're still trying to find ways to make it happen. Okay? The Knicks, they there's moves out there. There's things that you can do. If you want to try to get better, and you're seeing if Kristaps Porzingis goes to the Celtics, I mean that's going to be a great move for them. I think, right? I think they'll get a lot better, in my opinion, if he goes to the Celtics.
I know.
The Knicks got, they got to compete. They got to compete because, like we said earlier, a couple of shows ago, the door is kind of open in the Eastern Conference where you can, you can possibly put yourself up in the top 3 or 4. You know what I'm saying? If you make some of the right moves. So I think they've got to strike.
Because, Tim, I was scared. If I was looking, if Porzingis would have went to the Celtics, I would have seen everybody going to be moving down one. Porzingis at the center. That Williams dude at the power forward. Tatum back at the 3. Jaylen Brown back at the 2.
Yeah, I think Williams.
Like,
I think Grant Williams. I think he's
Robert Williams. Robert Williamson.
Robert Williams. Yeah. They're going to move him back from center back to the power forward spot, so he will help him with his injury history.
Right.
So I was thinking that would be a long scoring, athletic 2 to 5 that we would have to deal with, and I don't think we'd be ready for that.
Right.
Unless
I don't think so
we got
either.
somebody way better.
I don't think so either. I mean, it'd be so tough to deal with. And then they still got Al Horford, right?
Right.
Yep.
And he might come off the bench.
Yeah. You know, and you know, so they'll be tough to deal with if that trade ends up going through. The Knicks, they got to make a move.
Nick got to break that up. We got to go in there and get that. We can't let Boston have that. Nah.
They got to do
Give
something.
him back Fournier.
You're right. They have no interest.
But nice talking to y'all guys, fellas.
Yeah, I appreciate
Hope we can do something. I just don't want Cat. Give me anybody but Cat, please. Anybody but Cat.
All right, so I appreciate you, man.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Later.
Go ahead, Josh.
Sim, personally, I'm not a fan of bringing Porzingis back. I mean, I know the fit, the whole thing about the stretch 5, but I think the money is just too much right now for what the Knicks have going on. Like I said about Karl Anthony Towns, I feel the same way about him. First of all, it would have to be a trade, right? So the Knicks are going to be giving up assets for Porzingis, and then you're going to have to extend him, right? And he's going to command more money than what he makes now, more than $35 million a season. Won't be a max contract, so it could be descending. But I'm just not a fan of bringing Porzingis back. He's going to be the highest paid player on the team, and not even the best player, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Not even close to being the best player. Not even better than Randall or better than Jalen Brunson. You know what I mean? So I'm just not a fan of Porzingis on a long-term contract as of right now. So.
Okay. Tony, there's just some more news. The Washington Wizards are still trying to work ways to get Porzingis to the Celtics. You know what I mean? So, we'll see if we'll see if that happens. You know what I mean? We'll see if that happens. Let me get to another caller here. All right, caller, you're live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
It's Lauren again from Cali, man.
Lauren, what's going on, man? Oh boy, we know what Lauren's on. We already know what Lauren is on. We already know. We remember from the last show.
How y'all doing?
What's going on, brother? How you feeling?
I'm good. What y'all think about this? I know y'all discussing this Obi thing. I think we're low key witnessing we're witnessing the decline and the end of all the progress we've made in the last 2 years.
You think so?
I really do. Because if y'all remember last season, there was a moment where Obi got into it with RJ on the bench.
Right.
That was one of the best things Obi could have done at that moment because no one thought Obi had it in him to show any kind of aggression. He was always, the good, kind guy, just comes out, does his job when they give him 2 minutes a year, does what he does, and he goes about his business. But he showed some kind of aggression. Have y'all heard the tape with Thibs and Obi, or have you just heard the news?
Well, no, I heard the alleged tape. I don't know, the exact source of it and everything.
Hopefully
but,
it's true.
I
hope he cussed him out all the way.
I mean,
right? But nonetheless,
listen. He definitely, they got into an argument. There's no doubt about it. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's well deserved. I think he deserves to be that frustrated, and he deserves to say everything he allegedly said. But a couple of things, though, right? We already talked about this yesterday about Obi, the coach, whatever the problem is. But let's just talk about free agency for a second. I think one of the moves Leon Rose should have focused on once that Bradley Beal deal went through to Phoenix, where they got literally nothing. They have new management. They're about to scrap it all. The first thing Leon Rose should have done, if we look at our budget, we can afford to send Derrick Rose, Fournier, a pick, and maybe the first-round pick and maybe 2 second-round picks for Kristaps Porzingis and try to get Denny Abdia, or whatever his name is, from them. Because Denny Abdia is exactly what Fournier was supposed to be as far as a shooter, but he also plays really, really good defense. And we get to keep literally our exact roster, at least for 1 year, with Kristaps, even when he opts in, because that opt-in will be what makes us able to trade for trade Derrick Rose and Fournier to the Wizards. So that's one thing that I think Leon Rose should have done. And I don't think the deal has gone through yet with the Celtics. Hopefully it doesn't, because I really want Kristaps on our team. But I just feel like we are about to make some very big mistakes that is going to cost us long term.
Okay, so that's where you're going with it. So you feel like we're at that point where, because we've been at some points in the past where it felt like we were on the right thing, doing the right things, and then we made some disastrous moves that hurt us. So you think we're going to do that again? That's what you think?
Yeah. What disastrous moves would you say? Are you talking about recent or in the past?
I mean, both, I guess. You know what I mean? Just
because I don't think we've done. When I look at the roster, right, I don't think we have any ridiculously overpriced. What's it called? No. Salaries. People hate Fournier, but I mean, he came in his first year in the most rigid offense in the league and broke the 3-point record in the first season. So I mean, there's something he can do, right? He's also one of the top 3 players when they took that Orlando team with Vucevic and Aaron Gordon to the playoffs. So he's not a bum. And the summer before he came to the Knicks, he took France to people may not respect it, but he took France to Eurobasket finals. So he's not trash, right? And I think that's still a movable salary. But of recent, when I look at our roster, we don't really have that much bad weight. We have our picks. Maybe I was hoping the Cam Reddish situation worked out for us. It didn't, but we turned that into Josh Hart. So I don't think we've done anything that disastrous, but I think we're really literally at the cusp of going that direction, short term and long term. I heard the last caller talking about LaVine and RJ Barrett and Obi and picks for Zach LaVine.
I don't think
Zach LaVine.
Me, honestly, I don't think that Leon Rose is trying to move RJ Barrett. I don't.
I hope he's not.
Can I ask the caller a question?
Mm-hmm.
Are you worried about a disastrous move or a disastrous non-move?
I would rather us not make any drastic moves than make a disastrous move. And it's looking like Leon Rose is about to make mistakes that are going to cost us. I think.
What's wrong with Zach LaVine?
Say that again.
What's wrong with Zach LaVine? You said you laughed at Zach LaVine. What's wrong with Zach LaVine?
Okay, so first things first. People forget Zach LaVine has already played for Thibs. Nothing came of that. Like nothing came of that. That's already happened.
I don't think he played that long. I think he played for some games and then he got traded for Jimmy Butler.
Either way, nothing came of that. Right? Number 2, what has Zach LaVine done but stat pads? He missed. The Bulls lost Lonzo Ball and Alex Caruso and literally lost every game they could possibly win. Zach LaVine has literally done nothing but stat pads.
I think the problem, my only argument to you is you're advocating for KP and then you're discrediting LaVine. You know what I mean?
No,
if you have your
stance no, because you got to think, again, it's about salary.
Be parallel.
Zach LaVine gets paid. Zach LaVine is owed $160 million for the next 4 years. Kristaps Porzingis is on a 1-year opt-in. So we're not going to have to trade that much.
If you trade draft picks for him, you're going to have to re-sign him. Why would you trade him to be a rental player?
Boston, the Wizards are going to get the 30th pick for Kristaps. That's nothing. They're going to get one draft pick, the number 30. If you're trading for Zach LaVine, you're trading depth and draft picks, and you owe him $160 for the next 4 years.
Boston is also getting rid of Malcolm Brogdon, who won 6th Man of the Year last year. They're not just getting rid of nothing.
We already have the second place 6th Man of the Year.
Extend him.
Say that again.
And is going to extend.
And they're going to extend KP. They're willing to.
Right.
I mean,
how much are they extending KP for?
Well, we don't know yet.
More than what he's making now. He's going to make more money than what he makes now.
So now here's the question.
If it's 4 years, $100 million, that's still a total of 135 for 5.
Listen to what you just said. So the rumor is, or whatever the package was the Clippers are going to send Markieff Morris and what's his name, Coffey,
Amir
and
Coffey,
then the 30th pick to Washington, and KP will go to Boston, and Boston will send Brogdon to the Clippers. Right.
Right.
The package I proposed was literally Evan Fournier, Derrick Rose,
right?
and a first for KP.
Nobody's arguing nobody's arguing that.
Yeah, I'm just saying
you're
big.
Three of us would take that trade.
Right, yeah, I'm not arguing with that, but your premise was the fact that Zach LaVine didn't do anything in Chicago, right? That's the first thing. And the second thing is you're saying that we have to give up, like it's not going to work. I'm just trying to figure out why it won't work. Is it the money that you're worried about? Porzingis is about to make more money than that.
If we trade for Kristaps Porzingis, we're giving up, just like the package already showed, they gave up Brogdon, Coffee, and a first. I said to make the salary work, we trade. Hold on. We trade Fournier, Rose, and a first because they're scrap. They're at scrap right now. They just want picks. We trade that for a person who is on a 1-year deal opt-in. If we're trading for Zach LaVine, we're trading RJ. At least what that gentleman mentioned before this. RJ Barrett, Obi Toppin, and picks for a player who is owed $160 million.
I think what we're saying is nobody's arguing should we trade for KP, especially with the package that you're giving out of Fournier, Rose, you know what I mean, and a first. I think I would, Sim would, and Fulio would take that trade. But I don't know. We don't know if that's on the table. We don't know if that's an option.
That's what Leon Rose should be focused on, making it an option, because clearly the Clippers have already done that. Somebody has already figured out that the Washington Wizards are desperate for picks. Yeah. They are scrapping everything.
Yeah,
but I think the part that you're missing is the fact that Porzingis is going to get paid. I don't think a team is going to give up their draft picks for Porzingis to be a rental player. Porzingis is going to get a contract.
We don't know that, though. We don't know that because they said he's going to opt in. The first thing they said is opting
in order to make the trade work, but you're only opting in because you want an extension. You want to sign long term.
Well, so here's the thing.
No, I don't think that's how it works, though.
But hold on. Here's the thing. So right now, they're still trying to get KP to Boston, right? According to Adrian Wojnarowski, 15 minutes ago, the Wizards are still the Wizards are still working on ways to get KP to the Celtics in an opt-in and trade scenario, right? So he'd have to opt into the $36 million, and then they would trade him to the Boston Celtics. Now the Clippers are out. This is what it is right now. The Clippers are out. All right, so it would be Washington and Boston doing the deal. We don't know what that's going to look like because what Uncle Fulio was saying earlier is, you were saying, well, why would they give up RJ for Zach LaVine? But what he was saying is Washington may not be getting Malcolm Brogdon, but Boston was giving up Malcolm Brogdon so that they could get KP.
Malcolm Brogdon is not RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett is 22 years old.
I mean, I'm just saying that they were giving up something to get him. That's all that I'm saying. I don't believe that Leon Rose is going to trade RJ Barrett. I don't believe RJ. I don't believe RJ is going to get traded.
I think ultimately what the caller is saying is the Knicks have the assets to give a better package for KP, and we should go get KP.
I think that's what he's saying too.
You know what I mean?
And the reason why I'm opposing the Zach LaVine
you don't got to bring
trade
Zach LaVine into this because that's a different story.
Yeah. Go ahead, Lauren. What are you saying?
Yeah, and the reason why I'm opposing, because I actually want to I want to hear from the gentleman on the top right. When you opt in, clarify if I'm incorrect. When he opts into the 1-year deal, he's on a 1-year deal until he gets a new contract.
Correct. Exactly. In order to make the deal work, because you can't trade someone in the last year of their contract after the trade deadline. You can't do that. So he has to opt in, meaning be under contract for next season in order for the deal to work. But what I'm saying is no team is going to give up assets for Kristaps Porzingis to be a rental player, particularly draft picks and his reigning sixth man of the year. Right? They want to sign him. Right?
That's not necessarily true, though. That's not necessarily true. That's not necessarily, especially if you're giving up the 30th pick. The
reason I agree with the caller is because the two guys we're giving up are expiring. So the asset, it may be giving Washington their own pick back. You know what I mean? But KP. So again, if that's the deal, I think we all would take it.
Right. I mean, I dig that. I mean, I understand what Josh is saying. If he's going to Boston and they're giving up some assets, if they give up Malcolm Brogdon, who's on a 4-year deal or something like that, still, they give up Malcolm Brogdon, who was a 6th man of the year, they give up a first-round draft pick, they probably want to sign KP to a 3 or 4 year deal, right?
That's
Because
possible.
they
also
are
possibly want to get off Brogdon's deal. That's also a possibility. It doesn't matter if he's a 6th man of the year. He's what?
Why? They're in
22nd?
contention. They're in championship
I don't-
contention mode. Why are they
yeah.
getting rid of Malcolm Brogdon?
I mean,
That makes no
again,
sense.
I'm just to give the caller his props. The new collective bargaining agreement, they may want to.
Exactly. And,
But
and
I don't
they're-
know. I don't know.
The fact
Hold
with
up, hold
KP.
up, hold up.
I'm saying for us,
Hold
though.
up.
You know what I mean? For us,
And they're about to pay.
could do it.
They're about to pay Jaylen Brown $60 million a year for the next 5 years. They're about to be stuck with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum making $600 million for the next 5 years. They're going to have to make certain decisions. Brogdon can win 10 straight.
Caller, what
Six
I'm
man of the
saying
year.
is the Boston Celtics are in championship contention mode. Why would they go backwards? Why would they get rid of one valuable asset that they have off their bench, 6th man of the year, and the draft pick, only to have Porzingis for 1 year? They just got rid of 2 assets. 2 assets. They're going backwards at that moment. And
But here's the reason. Hold on. Here's one thing we can't do. Malcolm Brogdon was great last year, and he's a great player. But let's not act like Malcolm Brogdon is like prime Derrick Rose or something. That's one. Number 2.
Nobody's saying that.
Kristaps Porzingis. Hold on. Hold up. Kristaps Porzingis played 65 games last year. He averaged 23 points, 8 rebounds, 2 blocks, 1 steal, shooting 40% from 3 and 50% from the field. And he's 7'3".
Okay.
Right.
I'm giving Brogdon up immediately, even
Me
for
too.
1 year. Because
And that's the reason why Boston would want to sign him.
For
longer.
longer. We cannot assume they want to sign him long term
Okay.
because we don't know what KP wants.
All
And we
right.
don't know what the market's going to pay KP.
Okay.
So even if you're making a deal, here's what you're saying. Here's an example. The Lakers traded for what's his name, D'Lo, right? They traded for D'Lo. Basically, they turned 1 draft pick into 6 different players, and 5 of them, no one's sure they're going to get signed again. No one's sure, but they did it because they had a chance to win last year.
But
So
the
it's
Lakers
very
weren't
possible
working,
that
though. The Lakers were losing. Hold on, Lauren. The Lakers were losing. Boston is a winning team in championship contention mode. And you just made the argument for Porzingis. I didn't have to say anything about Porzingis. You made the argument for him. So you tell me what he's going to make in the open market.
Yeah,
I don't believe he's going to
I
make
don't know.
$36 million.
I say this. I don't think the Knicks are ending up with KP though. I agree. I had to warm up to it. You know, and I understand. I don't think they ended. I think KP is going to be in Boston. You know, I think Leon Rose can call all day long. I think he's going to end up in Boston. I think Leon Rose is probably on a whole nother trajectory.
And
Yeah,
to
he's
go back
not
to my original
CAA.
point, these are the signs. These signs with the Obi possible trade. These are the signs that we are starting to witness very quickly the decline of all the progress we've made so far.
Well, let's see what they do. They haven't done anything
I
yet.
disagree.
Let's see what they do.
disagree.
They
And
might.
that's why
I don't know,
I
man.
asked him, was it about a move or was it about not making a move? Because is it about if we don't get KP, we is nothing else we could do?
It's starting to sound like, again, we spoke about this yesterday, and the news report came out today as far as the audio, with Obi Toppin doing whatever Obi Toppin is doing. The fact that Obi Toppin and the value he can bring to this team is getting moved because of Thibs, and Leon Rose is possibly going to approve it, is showing that we are starting to make decisions that are going to cost us. And if these rumors about the trades we're going to be making for possible stars are true, we are starting to make mistakes. The reason why we did so well last season is because we waited, we didn't trade for Donovan Mitchell, and the most perfect story you can ever write happened in the most perfect way. We beat the guy that everybody said we should trade for. All the assets that we were supposed to trade beat that player. We have a chance to do the same thing. Instead of sending assets and draft picks, we can literally make little moves, like trading away D Rose and Fournier for players like, Kristaps Porzingis, or players who can actually make a difference and go for it again. But we're not doing these things.
Well, I mean, we haven't done anything yet,
haven't
so
done
let's see what
anything.
happens. Let's see what happens.
Okay.
We haven't
Caller,
done
real quick.
anything yet.
Caller, let me help you on this. Let me help you on this real quick. As far as the money is concerned, if that's what you're concerned about, right? Let's say the Knicks decline, they trade Fournier and they trade Derrick Rose, right? And let's say we extend Porzingis and winds up working out, right? The Knicks will be above the first threshold. They'll be above the first threshold at that point, because
not if
like
we trade.
we think.
Not if we trade again. We have not said anything about signing KP. The 1 year opt-in is $36 million. If we combine Derrick Rose and Fournier's salary, and something we could do, add a little something, I don't know exactly, like Teals or someone, we could match that salary for at least 1 year.
So you want Porzingis for 1 year?
Well,
so you want Porzingis for 1 year?
I don't mind Porzingis for 1 year if all I'm giving up is Derrick Rose and Fournier who don't play.
I mean, I get that. I understand that from the Knicks standpoint, right? Okay, we make the move. We see what happens. If it doesn't work out, then we're still in we still have money in free agency, this and that. But you still want to make moves forward. So I think if you're obviously hoping that it's going to work out and you can make a move, and I get that part of it, right? I don't think that first of all, I think there's going to be better offers out there for Kristaps Porzingis. If they're looking to move him in that way,
salary,
then
do you
Evan
think
Fournier.
Kristaps Porzingis is going to command more than? Do you think Kristaps Porzingis in the open market, because he's opting into $36 million and looking for a new deal? Do you believe KP is going to get more than $25 a year?
No, I don't.
Yes,
I
do.
I don't. I don't think he's getting that. I think his.
Who said yes?
I think his injuries keep the price down. I think his injury history keeps the price down.
Are you willing, as the Knicks, are you willing to give KP $25 a year?
I am. I would be. If the Knicks made a move for KP, I would be willing to give him $25 a year. Yes.
Facts.
I would. Yes, I would.
Facts.
I would. I just don't think that they're making a move for KP. I think there's going to be better offers out there for KP than what the Knicks.
Better offers right now or better offers after?
Right now. I'm saying, as far as trading for him. I think there might be.
So you don't even believe you might.
I think he can make 25 on the open market easy right now.
Oh, say that again, Lauren?
You're not counting on the Boston trade to go through?
I mean, I think it can still go through, but if it doesn't go through, I think there might be other offers out there, people who are willing to throw maybe some more draft picks Washington's way than the Knicks are.
And they will have, and said team will have room for that $36 million, or they'll at least have room to trade.
I mean,
I don't think there's that many teams that can do that.
They're gonna have to.
They're gonna have to if they make the trade. They got to trade that salary. They got to trade the same amount in salary. So, yeah, I think so. We'll see. Lauren, I appreciate the call, man. Always a spirited call when Lauren calls in.
no doubt, bro. Stay up.
I appreciate you, man. Have a good one.
Someone said that's Mark. That's Mark calling on the phone. That was Mark.
That's Mark is now Mark Love. Mark is now Mark Love. This is like worldwide, just like wrestling out here. People go away for a couple months and come back with a whole new identity. Mark is now Mark Love.
It went from who's Mark to where's Mark to Mark Love.
To Mark Love. You know what I'm saying? Caller, just give us a second. We'll get you on in just a second. I want to recognize a couple of people from Super Chats. And actually, I want to go back to last night or whenever it was that I was on, because I missed a couple of Super Chats there. True Story Jay said, and this is when we had the last show about Obi. He said, Obi and give Washington their first back for Kispert. I mean, we keep on mentioning all these young guys like Lauren was talking about Denny Avdia. They're going to want their young guys. They're trying to rebuild, so they're going to want pieces they probably want draft picks and keep their young players who are on short contracts or rookie contracts to build with. So I don't see where we're going to be doing that for Kispert, in my opinion, because I think, you know what I mean, they probably want him as a building block. Go ahead, Tony.
Just to add to that point, like, Obi's relatively not young. You know what I mean? Like, he's supposed to be entering his prime. Like you about to be 26. So like when Randall got here, he was 26.
26.
Let's put things in perspective. You know what I mean? Like of where he is in not just his career, but just, you know what I mean, like life. Like so
Yeah,
I don't know if they're gonna look at Obi and view him as a young guy, is what I'm saying.
right.
And he hasn't really peaked to be like, oh, he's entering his prime. He still has to even get that, you know what I mean, get that opportunity
Right.
or that result.
Right. Nah. Angry Man, thank you for the super chat the other day. He said, if not Thibs, then who? Always calling to fire the coach. Knock it off. First winning coach we had in years. Stop letting the crazies on the phone. I mean, you know, I don't know who's calling in sometimes, man.
That might be comment of the night.
And then Nikki B said, hang up over. I think he was talking about Lauren when he tweeted, when he said hang up over there. I think he was talking about Lauren, who was just on the phone. But this was last night or the last show. All right. For tonight's super chats, Parrish Duggar said, for those teams are getting better, but don't underestimate our guys coming back much better. They just graduated playoff school and will come back much better. I mean, I agree with you that I think our players will come back better, but you know, if you're, I mean, when you look at Boston and KP going to Boston, you're talking about a total upgrade in talent, and those guys are also going to come back better, right? You still got young guys on that team, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. You know what I mean? These guys are also young, and they're going to come back better. Then you add someone like KP, which I think fits them very nicely. You know what I mean?
But my only thing with that is, like, I think it's an upgrade in talent, but what they lose in Brogdon, KP doesn't make up for. And some of the things that they didn't have even with Brogdon, I don't think he contributes either. You know what I mean?
Natural point guard.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
So that's my only, like, sure, it's a great thing for them, but I'm not looking at it like, oh, they definitely winning. You know what I mean? Like,
I get it.
To me, they still in the same boat they've been in the last 7 years.
I get it. You know, but you know, they'll probably go out and get CP3 or somebody to fill in for Brogdon.
But then that changes everything. That now it's like they Denver now.
I'm thinking about this. And Lauren, I don't know, it just got me thinking. What is the incentive for Washington taking on Fournier and Derrick Rose's contract? What's the incentive for them?
There is none. They'd have to get it would have to be some draft picks.
Pick back and probably another pick.
Yeah, it would have to be draft picks going to Washington. There is no incentive because his contract would be expiring anyway. So there's no real incentive there. None at all.
Which doesn't make sense why you want to trade 2 first-round picks and don't assume that you want to sign the player that you're bringing back.
Right.
That doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Nice try though, Lauren, but I just don't think it's feasible right now, in my opinion. I just don't think that kind of money.
Josh was pondering this whole time.
Yeah. Parrish Duggar said Leon still has to wait for the perfect move for us. I get it. Listen. He's been very calculative. Leon Rose has, and the way that they move, they've been calculative, and we'll see if they continue that. At some point, me and Tony were just talking about it though. At some point, you got to take a chance. I know they've been, they've been tight with it. They haven't taken many chances. At some point, you do.
Everything they've done has been low risk, high reward.
Yeah.
Right. I think we're looking for high risk, high reward, and they're waiting for the no brainer.
Yeah, they're waiting.
But the no brainer it doesn't come often.
Yeah, that's the thing. And when every player that's out there, every time someone comes available, you get a group that wants that person, but then people are like, nah, doesn't pass, too short, doesn't do this, doesn't play defense. We're not finding that perfect player out there. There's only a few guys who have very limited flaws in the league, and we're not getting one of them right now. Anyone that we're going to get is going to have some kind of flaws, and your coaching has to be able to figure out how to cover up those flaws and account for those flaws.
And I think we need to address our number one biggest issue, and that is ball handling and shooting at the wing and guard spot.
Yeah.
And to me, Zach LaVine just fits it. The contract fits. Everything works for the Knicks, to me. And then a trade for someone like him. His contract's not expiring, so you don't have to worry about giving him a new 30% or 35% max deal on the table for next season. He's going to be under contract for another 3 years, which is the same time limit as Randall, as Jalen Brunson, right? It just makes sense for the Knicks to go after that guy. Like, all the pieces just align for that to happen right now. Now, will they do it? I don't know. But to me, I just think out of all the players that we talked about so far, or that's out there, I think that's the best possible option for the Knicks, in my opinion.
Molly Mall said, as a Wizards fan, Wizards are actively looking for a first this year for KP, not future picks. Oh, first this year for 2023, this season coming up. I mean, the Knicks ain't giving them that.
Right.
They're not giving them that.
You know what the funny thing is? If we pull up the Obi trade, you know what I mean, we might be able to do it. Because like the previous trade that they was talked about was the 30th pick. You know what I mean? The picks that we was talking about possibly
for Obi
picking up was like 26, 29, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So
and that's possible. That's definitely possible. Paris Duggar said Kuz for RJ in the first and Rose Grimes in a second.
You know, it's funny. I thought
Zach.
about that. I thought about that same trade earlier. I don't know if it was the exact setup, but yeah.
Well, I mean,
that
but Rose, but the money don't match, does it? Maybe it does. Maybe it does. Maybe it does.
Rose and Grimes, no.
Well,
it would have to be Rose, Fournier,
I mean,
Grimes, and
but
stuff.
I guess this would be a 3-team trade then, because Kuz is with Washington, obviously RJ is with New York, and Zach is with Chicago. So it would be some kind of a 3-team trade.
It could be two separate trades.
It could be, but I think to make the money work, you would have to make it one big trade.
No, Rose and Fournier would have to be for the Zach trade.
But what I'm saying here,
works for Kuz by itself.
But what I'm saying, what he has here is he has Rose and Grimes.
Yeah, but the end is in between them, so I think it's two separate trades. So he would just have to amend the second trade to make the money work.
Yeah,
I mean, you know what I mean?
Right. I'm just saying if you did it as a 3-way trade.
Oh yes,
I still don't know if the money works if you do it as a 3-way trade. RJ this year was 10. You know, if you did it before the draft, RJ this year is 10.
Yeah, you gotta do it next year.
Rose is 15. That's 25. Grimes is probably like $2 or $3 million. So that doesn't work. Now, if you did it after the draft, if you did it after July 1st, you picked up Rose's contract, you did it after July 1st.
Yeah, that changes things.
Now that changes things because Rose is 15 million, RJ's 25 million or something. That's 40, and then you got Grimes. Then it could work as a 3-team deal.
As a 3-team trade, yeah.
You know what I mean? But now you get.
But Kuz already opted out. So.
Oh, I mean, is it official? I don't know how.
I think it's a midnight deadline or something.
Something like that.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't think it's official until the deadline passes. You know what I mean?
Well, y'all said we can't do it until after January. I mean, the first anyway.
Right. If you did it after the first, then you couldn't do it. He would have already been opted out. Yeah.
Correct.
He would already either been opted out or he wouldn't even be under contract. So he would have had to opt into the $13 million if it happens after July 1st. He would have to opt into the $13 million for it to work.
He ain't doing that.
He ain't doing that. You know what I mean? He ain't doing that. Keith Watkins, the last caller, is missing the fact that KP would not opt in without already knowing the extension is coming. I think I might agree to that too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? He may not, KP knows his injury history. So he may want to, let me settle this and get myself on the books now.
The only reason I don't know that is because the headline was he was opting in anyway.
Right.
Like if he was staying in Washington, you know what I mean? So,
right. He was opting in to get that 36. So I'm thinking he might want to, if I'm going to a team like Boston, let me get this. Let's get this thing worked out. I know I'm opting in, and I know I'm re-signing with this team for the next 4 years, so I can secure my future. You know.
But what the caller was saying is that's not his choice. You know what I mean? Once
I
he
get it.
opt in and he get traded, like that's on the new team and him. That has nothing to do with his
Yeah, I
team.
mean, I would think that, but I think that they would have the mutually, they would be like, yeah, we want to lock you up because we want to, we think you fit. We want to contend for the next 4 years. And then he would be like, yeah, I want my security for the next 4 years. So, it mutually benefits both of them, I think. You know what I mean? But let me get to this phone call because my man's been waiting for a while patiently. You know what I mean?
Right.
Caller, you're live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Zahim. I haven't called in a minute. I'm from Brooklyn.
What's going on, Zahim? How you feeling, man?
I feel good. I just want to know your opinion on a couple things. So I know we've been talking about Obi Toppin a lot.
Mhm.
How do you feel about if they called Golden State or Jonathan Kuminga and do a
I was
swap?
thinking about that.
How would y'all feel about
A swap for Obi?
that? Yeah, for Kuminga because he's aggravated over there for his playing time.
I'd do it all day.
and
Yeah.
But yeah, I was wondering. I've been thinking about that. Like he's young, he's athletic,
Mhm.
he's young, and Obi's a little older than him. I could see him working for Golden State. So I don't know. That's something that's been on my mind.
When is he up for a contract renewal or whatever?
See, 1
I
year
don't
behind
know. I
Obi.
don't know. I just see a lot of rumors that he's like Golden State's trying to move him. If I was the Knicks, I would call him. They could do a swap.
Yeah, why not? According to Kendrick Perkins, he's 7'2" now. So,
The last thing I heard was they not trying to trade him.
okay.
And they not trying to package him with Poole. But they still have cap ramifications that they got to work out.
Right.
So that might be a reason why they do move him.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. If I was the Knicks, I would give it a shot. He's young, athletic. He's looking to show his game too.
Mhm.
I also like three, but I think we wouldn't get three unless like the Knicks look to trade Mitchell Robinson.
Right.
I got a couple other questions. Another question I have. I know we all don't know what's going to happen with Randall. I was thinking a swap. No, I don't know what Toronto's going to do. A lot of people might not like this idea. You trade Randall for Pascal. Siakam.
I think if Toronto is getting rid of Pascal Siakam, that means that they're looking to rebuild and they're not going to want Randall's. Even though Randall's on a good contract, I don't know if they're going to want longer contracts. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a 4-year contract. You know what I mean? I think if they're moving on from Pascal Siakam, that means Fred VanVleet is probably no longer going to be there, and they're looking to rebuild the thing. So I think they'd probably want short contract. And just in my thought process is that teams that are rebuilding, starting from scratch, probably want short, small contracts, right? You know what I'm saying? So that they keep their cap flexibility in the event that they could make something happen.
Unless it's a young player on like a rookie deal or something like that.
Right. Exactly.
And there's no incentive between Toronto and New York to do that deal. I don't see the incentive for either side.
Yeah.
Also, I know I was thinking about earlier. I know a lot of people have been saying that, we all love Mitchell Robinson, but I feel like, next year we need to come back with a different five. Like, I feel like, I know people may hate me. I think the Knicks should call Phoenix because Phoenix got Bradley Beal, right? So, in my opinion, like, they just need a guy that can get rebounds and block shots. I think DeAndre Ayton will play very well for the Knicks in the East.
Not
I
for
think he'll do
$35
very
million.
well.
Not for $36 million.
But does DeAndre Ayton give you? I know people look at like his, what he could be in the future. But for this team, does he give you from that center spot? If you're trading Mitch, does DeAndre Ayton give you what you need from that center spot? I know he can post up and score, but can he spread the floor consistently? Like really spread the floor? I don't know. And is he going to be able to deal with Thibs?
Yeah,
Because,
yeah.
like it or not, he's going to be on the team with Thibs at least next year. He don't want to work, it's from the reports that we get, he don't want to work in Phoenix.
Yeah. I just think, some
it
people
doesn't
just
mean
need-
it's going to be like that. It would be like that wherever he goes next, though. There could be some other dynamics going on.
He said it. I'm sorry. I'm reading the comments. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying to see. I just really wondering what they're going to do. What I really want us to do, but I know it's not going to happen. I want us to get Brandon. That's what I want. That's what I really want. I want Brandon Ingram.
I like Brandon Ingram. I really like Brandon Ingram. I like Brandon Ingram a lot, and I think he fits perfectly here. I just get concerned about, people talk about Zach LaVine in the injury history. He's got a way longer injury history. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely get concerned about that.
I'm just thinking, what are we gonna do? I'm just asking questions. I'm thinking, as far as like shooting, I think we should look at Seth. I think we should look. I don't know. I know Max Strus for cheap. Who else? I even look. Another sneaky one I thought about. Doug McDermott on the Spurs.
Yeah, people talk about. Yeah, we talked about Dougie. We talk about Dougie Fresh too. I think Pop probably likes Dougie though.
Right. Yeah.
But hey,
I
Zahim.
think, if he.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I just think if you can move Fournier over there to Spurs or something, maybe they could get him. I don't know.
It's a possibility.
Thinking.
And the Spurs, they got a lot of drafts, a lot of salary cap space. There may be a way that they could absorb Fournier's contract. I don't know. But Zahim, appreciate your time, man. Thank you for the questions.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Look forward to hearing from you again, man. Peace. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, I'm pretty sure you already heard, about everything that's going on with Obi today. All right, but if you're just joining us, Obi Toppin and Tom Thibodeau, got into an altercation after Game 4 when the Knicks were down 3-1. Obi frustrated, about not being able to, not playing in the second half of that game. According to league sources, and this is Fred Katz from The Athletic. According to league sources who were present, once the final buzzer sounded, Toppin aired his grievances to Tom Thibodeau. The 24-year-old wants to play, and he wants to win. That evening, neither happened. An intense verbal altercation occurred between the player and the coach as the group trekked to the Kaseya Center visiting locker room in Miami. It spilled into the post-game meeting once the doors were closed. On this occasion, as Toppin yelled at Thibodeau in front of teammates so fresh off a loss that they were still in uniform, assistant coach Rick Brunson stepped in to stand up for his boss. Toppin and Brunson got into it for a moment. Randall, Evan Fournier, Josh Hart, they pulled Toppin aside to try to cool him off. According to the source who told Fred Katz, the disagreement did not infect the Knicks culture. In fact, on the evening it happened, a league source told The Athletic that he believed it was more likely fracas that would give the players a jolt after a spiritless loss. Toppin and Thibodeau met the next day to patch things up. The evening after that, the Knicks won Game 5. Toppin played his regular rotations. He played them well. Life was back to normal, even if the Knicks fell a couple of nights later to end their season. There was no fallout, no lingering resentment, and sometimes competitive people get competitive. This is according to the source. So if you're just joining us and you hadn't heard today, that's what's been going on with Obi Toppin. If you go on Twitter, there's an alleged recording of the incident. You can listen to that recording if you go on Twitter, and you can judge that for yourself. But, yeah, that's what's going on, man. So it looks like Obi is going to be moved sooner than later onto who knows where. You know what I'm saying? I'm assuming that Leon Rose and the group is going to be looking to move Obi, not just for draft picks, but move him for a player. a wing. I'm thinking a wing player like Josh, like Tony, a wing player that's going to be able to help elevate this team. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's what's going on, ladies and gentlemen. Let me get you a phone call. I'll get back to Tony and Josh. Caller, you're live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
My name is Winston again from Indiana this time.
Winston, my man Winston from Indiana. Here we go.
Yeah, I used to live down in PG and Howard County. So, I
okay.
kind of follow you guys a lot.
Okay, that's what's up. Yeah,
So
I'm not far from there.
And with you know what? I almost cried when I heard about this Obi Toppin incident and what's going on, because from what we understand over in Indiana is that the Pacers had discussed a trade for Obi Toppin before the trade deadline.
Right.
And it didn't go through. So they're going to go back at it. But what I'm understanding now is that it's going to be a 3-team trade. And then we're going to end up with Zach LaVine. We're going to possibly lose RJ or quickly in that deal and some picks.
Where are you hearing this
and
from?
Then we get 26 pick for Obi Toppin, but it's going to go towards Chicago to make up the salary difference.
Okay. So the Knicks will trade Obi to Indiana for the 26th pick, and then they'll move it to Chicago with other pieces to bring back Zach LaVine.
Yeah, so we don't lose that much pick. So that 26th pick is going to go over to Chicago.
Right.
Or we're going to have a backcourt of Jalen Brunson and LaVine.
So where you hearing this from?
Rumors in Indianapolis.
Oh, rumors. Yeah.
That's what the streets say out here.
Okay. All right. And how does
so what do you think about that?
We like them kind of plugs, man. Keep giving them that, giving us that info.
So say that again, Winston.
He's facing a contract year, and he has to prove himself.
Yeah, Obi. He's facing a contract.
And I believe that was a part of his frustrations.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So, you know what? You know what I think? I think they should lift Thibs into management and get a coach. You can't be drafting a player in the top 10 and 3 years go by and there's no positive development. That's not workable. It's not feasible. At least by the third year, you should know what you have.
So, all right. So what about Quickly? What about Grimes?
Quickly.
What about those guys who, because
Quickly is the same thing. Quickly and Grimes. But you see what happened? Chicago wants Quickly.
No, I mean, but what I'm saying, people keep saying, well, you can't have a guy who was a top 10 pick and now you're going to trade him for this and that, and he didn't get developed right. But what about the other guys?
Well, you know what? Let me say this. In any organization, right, that you have, you're going to have some guys that are favorites for whatever reason. Maybe they play more defense. If you're a defensive coach and you have a guy that play more defense than another guy, you're going to have a leniency towards that person. It's just natural. That doesn't mean that you don't need offense too. Because as you can see, if we had enough offense, we probably would have done better in the Miami series.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing to have a lot of defense, but if you can't shoot the ball in the basket, you're still not going to win. So you have to be rounded. And as you were saying at the top of your program, there's no perfect players.
Right.
You're sitting there waiting for a perfect player to land in your lap. You see, Leon Rose is a value guy. And it takes time to get value.
He is a value guy. I agree. He's a value guy. They feel like they can give. I agree.
That is the problem that's killing us because, you have Obi Toppin. Okay, so he's athletic. You have to even though you're a defensive coach, you got to look into that and be flexible. Mm-hmm. You have to have some level of flexibility. He may not play the defense that you want him to play, but if you gave him minutes over the 3-year period, you probably would have been in a better position in the Miami series. You have to appreciate what a player brings to the table, whether it's defense or offense, because both of them are needed.
Yeah, I can't argue with you. You can't argue with you about it. Josh and I were having a discussion earlier in the show that we thought they should have used Obi with Randall Moore in a smaller lineup. Can't argue with you about it.
And then they didn't go for Kristaps Porzingis, obviously, because he's not value that they're looking for either. So they're looking at this brother called Naz Reid.
He's good though. He's good.
Yeah, so they want to sign Naz Reid, and they're going to get rid of either Arkenstein and Fournier, probably trade them out to the Spurs or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that's going to work, but that's what I'm getting out of this. And I'm reading all these articles, and that's what I see. That's the way they're leaning right now. Because they think Naz Reid is a value guy. And he can spread the floor to some extent.
He probably would be a value guy that can spread the floor, give you a lot of hustle, rebound, those type of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're right. That's what he would be. That's what he would be.
So that's where they're headed. So I don't know about the Zion Williamson development. I think they're going to keep their nose out of that because Leon Rose is not going to go for that kind of juggler right now.
So let me ask you this, Winston. I got a question for you. How come Washington didn't go for that, Julius Randle for KP in the 8th pick? How come they didn't go for that?
All right, here's the deal. You're right. They're rebuilding. And they don't want Randle down there. They're going to tank like crazy. They're going to do something similar to what OKC did.
Yeah.
Clear out, like the Westbrooks and all of those guys. They do Kevin Durant, and they're going to tear down and they're going to rebuild. And they're going to go into the draft for X amount of consecutive years. Hopefully, they have the talent in the front office to draft. Because you can go in the draft all you want. If you don't have the scouts and the talent that can pick for you in the draft, you're still not going anywhere. That's been Wizards' problem.
Yeah.
They just always seem to be a team that don't go that far.
The Wizards never going anywhere.
They'll get a good pick like John Wall, develop him, and then later on ship him off. So, hey, it's what it is. That's Wizards' way.
Yeah. That's the Wizards. No doubt about it. Who do you want the Knicks to get? What do you want the Knicks to do?
Me, personally, I was thinking of them getting KP. I wanted them to get KP. I wanted him to come home to the Knicks. I think he would have appreciated it. But we didn't have anything to offer the Knicks, the Wizards that they wanted. Our package was nothing desirable. They want picks. And we don't have a first-round pick this year.
Right.
So we'd have to do a 3-team trade to get them a first-round pick.
Right.
And then Leon Rose probably wouldn't have agreed to that type of setup. So,
right.
But from what I'm hearing, because of what the altercation with Thibs, Obi is on his way out.
He's on the way out.
Yeah, he's on his way out, and he's going to come to Indiana, and he's going to start at the 4 for Indiana. That's what I'm understanding.
But given the situation, what do you want the Knicks to do? Just given the situation, how do you want them to move with Obi? What kind of player do you want the Knicks to go out and get? Given the situation looking like KP is going to go to Boston, to me, I just feel like they're still going to find a way to make it work. You got the Zach LaVine talks out there. You know what's going on with Obi. What do you want the Knicks to do in all of this situation?
Well, I'm personally settling that Zach LaVine doesn't look that bad after all. He's a decent player in the backcourt with Jalen Brunson. So decent. I think I've been fighting this Zach LaVine injury situation, but like I said, there's no perfect situation right now. And I'm looking at Zach LaVine's figure, and he can contribute. That would be a really strong backcourt in terms of offense.
Mm-hmm. It would.
Zach LaVine is better at defense than Jalen Brunson. He can shoot. He's a good spot-up shooter. So he's not like you have to drive to the basket all the time. He's like 41% from three-point line. Beyond the three-point line. So you got JB. He does his footwork and gets into the paint. If anything happens, he kicks out to Zach LaVine. Bam, three-pointer. So that would be good. But in terms of the center position, Amir Naz Reid is what they're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because of the Rosas what's his name? Is Rosas? He used to be over.
Yeah. It used to be. Yeah. He's a consultant with the Knicks now.
Yeah. So he's for Naz Reid because he knows Naz Reid's capabilities and potential.
Right.
You see where he would be a good fit with the Knicks. And he is just 23 years old. So he fits the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows? He is way below his prime.
Right.
So who knows what he could develop to be in the years to come.
Right.
That's what they're looking at.
Right.
Value.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
So what you have in the Knicks front office is a bunch of visionaries. We are looking at the finished product as to what we can do now. They're looking at what's down the road. That's how they're thinking. And as much as we want to win now, they're saying, all your guns. Based on the CBA agreement and what's coming up, because they want to reduce the amount of, increase in the league. Let's just go for the best quality talent at cheap prices. And they could form not only a big three if they develop right, but probably a big four. And we will have them cheap. That's the way the thinking is. And we have to start understanding that not because we want a very efficient player now, but that the price is too much. So they're not buying into that based on what they're seeing in the CBA collective bargaining agreement. They're saying, listen, back up. We have the talent here because we got that brother over from Utah that picked the guy that we're going to trade for that went to Cleveland. He picked him, and we passed upon him. So we have the talent to spot this. We have the scouts to spot the talent. So that's what they're resting on. They understand that, listen, if we get good players that are young and are not being paid much, we can ride that into something great. That's how they're thinking. But we're thinking, we want to win. We want to be at the finals next year.
Yeah, we'll see what wins out. We'll see what wins out. At some point in time, they gotta, try to make a move because Boston was in the same situation for a while, right? They had all these draft picks and things and all of that, and people were like, "Well, you guys gonna make a move to get another guy in here?" Then they did the Kyrie thing, and now they're not afraid. They're making more big moves. We'll see. But hey, Winston, I appreciate it. I love it when you call in, man. I appreciate your time.
You have a good one, man.
And the chat is calling you our Indiana spy. So, keep your ear to the ground and let us know.
Yeah, okay. So I'll find out. I'll let you know, okay?
I appreciate you, man. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Bye.
Tony and Sim, let me ask y'all a question. What do y'all feel like the Knicks' biggest need is right now, at this very moment? What is the biggest need on the team?
I mean, I agree with what you said earlier. Ball handling and shooting. Shooting first, ball handling. Because, I feel like we were exposed in the playoffs with ball handling as well, not just the shooting. I feel like we were exposed with ball handling too.
Tony, you agree with that?
Mm-hmm. And I ain't gonna lie. For the first time ever, I acknowledge Mitchell Robinson's lack of offensive ability. Like, that really hurt us in that series. He was great in the first series, doing what he does, but you know what I mean? So we need versatility at that spot.
So I would say that would be a second priority for me. Like, to me, to combine both shooting and ball handling, I think we need guys at the guard and wing position who can shoot off the dribble, right?
I agree.
The only two people on this roster that can do that from the guard and wing position is Quickly and Brunson. We need somebody else to do that, preferably in the starting lineup. I don't want to keep bringing up this person's name, but to me, I just think it makes all the sense in the world right now. There's no injury concerns. Last 4 years, he's played 65 games a season, which I think is standard amongst all stars in the NBA these days, right? 65 games. So all that knee trouble everybody was worried about way back when, I don't think that's a concern now for Zach LaVine. He's in the middle of a contract. We don't have to worry about extending him to 3 years down the road. Provides everything that we need, and we can do it and still stay under the luxury tax threshold.
I mean,
To me, it just makes no sense.
Hey,
I don't know.
You leave it up to Winston, the Knicks are walking away with Zach LaVine and Naz Reid, and that takes care of
both,
right?
Sim, the thing is, a lot of people are really concerned about how much draft picks we're giving up. I would personally give up 2. I would give up 2 draft picks for Zach LaVine, probably 2 unprotected. I would keep quickly out the deal. I'll do Obi, RJ, and Fournier in that trade. And then we accomplish a lot with that Zach LaVine move. For all those people that are worried about the draft picks or whatever, when the Knicks are in the playoffs every single year, those draft picks don't really matter as much. They matter, but they don't matter as much because we're not drafting that high. Right. And then all the guys that we draft, where are they going to play? If the rotation is intact and all these guys are on the contract.
Let me ask you this. Before I get to this caller, let me ask you this, because Tony asked me this earlier. Will you be upset if the Knicks pay the amount that they refused to pay for Donovan Mitchell? Will you be upset if they paid it for Zach LaVine?
I wouldn't be upset. No, I wouldn't be upset about that. I mean, it came a season too late. But I wouldn't be upset if the Knicks did that. Meaning like the three first round picks.
Right.
Yeah, I wouldn't be upset at that.
And my answer was the same. I had to think about it, but I was like, I don't think I would be upset, because before the Donovan Mitchell, like the Knicks got Brunson, like you didn't really know where they was going to be. Now you got to see, like, okay, you add another piece, who knows, they could elevate, like really elevate. And so I wouldn't be upset, because it'd be like, well, we didn't know where we were going to be. Now we know that we could possibly elevate. Let's make this move. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and my biggest concern, my only concern with Donovan Mitchell was size. And I don't have that concern with Zach LaVine. So it's like, I agree with you guys. Like, if it costs that much, it costs that much. But I don't have the same. I have different concerns, but it's not the size. It's not the backcourt. You know what I mean? Like, that's a nice backcourt, Brunson and LaVine.
What would you be concerned about, though, Tony? Like, what part of it?
You talk about LaVine?
Yeah.
Listen, I'm an advocate for LaVine. I'm saying anybody we can get has some type of concern. We're not getting into this debate.
I'm not trying to debate. I'm legitimately curious because
I know
maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I'm missing something that I'm not really tracking. That's the reason why I'm asking. I'm not trying to debate. I'm genuinely curious about that.
I think the injury is still injuries are still a concern. I get what you're saying. I've been using that same argument, but I'm not gonna act like it's non-existent. You know what I mean? Or he's turned a new leaf. You know what I mean? But injuries is part of the game. So I don't want to dwell on that. I think he's a perfect fit. He's a perfect fit. Shooting, athleticism, size. You know what I mean?
Ball handling.
I think he's a better, ball handling. He's a better defender than given credit for. And I've said this a long time ago. If we pull that move off, I'm going off the basis that Thibs approved it. You know what I mean? He played. He had him before. Thibs is okay with it. I'm okay with it.
Yeah. See, let me get to a caller here. Caller, you're live. Name me where you're from, please.
Darren from the Bronx, New York.
Darren, what's going on, man? How you feeling?
Oh, can't call it, baby. Listen, I never called in before. This first time I called in. I'm actually, there you go, BX, right? I'm just, well, thank you all. Thank you for letting me, take my call.
Yeah,
all right.
Definitely.
Now look, I'm just going to tell you how I feel about this whole Knicks thing. I've been rocking with the Knicks since way back. I'm 56. I've been rocking with them for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And it gets boring after a while when you sit there and look at how they just continuously let things come in between what New York needs and what they want to do. I have a problem with Thibodeau. Now, I know sometimes you got people who swear by Thibodeau. Thibodeau is a defensive coach. He can't coach offense for jack. And that's the problem. That's why Obi called him out on it. Okay, because he don't know what he's doing. And why is it that Leon Rose is allowing him to kind of like dictate the pace of what he wants as a team? Leon Rose is like, I'm giving you a team. This is my team. I need you to coach it. Now, do you want to coach the team or don't you?
But you can't come in there and say, I'll coach the team, but I don't want this player and I don't want this player. All right,
I
so
kind of disagree
the
with
last
that,
thing I'll
though.
tell you is this: look,
But
he I ain't gonna curse, but he cracked on Cam.
mm-hmm.
Then he cracked on
No, go ahead.
He cracked on Cam because it started with Kemba Walker. He didn't like Kemba Walker, so he basically, ended his career. Then you end Cam's career because Cam calling you out because he's saying you ain't gonna let him play. And then you did it to Quickly, and then you quickly ain't happy, and Quickly got to sit there. Some people are cancers, all right.
Happy
And
until you said I quit.
cancer.
All right.
Okay.
So
because look, how you going to have somebody like Julius just yelling at everybody and slapping computers out of coaches' hands and getting away with it. And the way he did Quickly, Grimes ain't supposedly happy with him. And you're not giving Obi no minutes. Okay. And then you say, like, why are you not even trying to play Obi at the 3? Since you're so in love with Julius, that you want to give him all the minutes. Why you don't try him at the 3?
I mean, listen. I agree about trying Obi at the 3 and getting him and Julius out there together. But some of the other things, Cam went to Portland. He had his chance to hoop there. He ended up on the bench, too. He ended up getting DNPs. And he had his chance. As soon as he went to Portland, he was in the starting lineup. And from there, he went to the bench. From the bench, he went to did not play.
But didn't he do well when he started the season in New York?
He was doing well, but clearly there's something amiss. There's something not working with Cam somewhere because three teams now have said nah. So something's not working with Cam. Kemba, he was on the way out.
So look,
Kemba was on the way out, man. He was done.
I'll co-sign that. But see, what I have a problem with is you didn't even try to play Obi at the 3. You talking about a top 10 pick, number 8, and you don't even give him no burn. I get it. I get it. And then his career is basically you kind of like hampered his career because he messed his bag up because everybody's going to sit there and say, well, I don't know what he's capable of. The games you played Obi, he scored over 20 points a game when he got burned. And if he got more than 30 minutes, he scored over 30 points. So it's not like he's a scrub. It's just that he's not getting no light.
I mean, listen.
He's too partial to his little pets. You know what I'm saying? Oh, he his little godson. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. Get that. If it was up to me, I'll move Jalen Brunson, and I know y'all gonna shake your head on that.
For real?
Jalen Brunson now.
For real?
You gotta
come on, Derek. You gonna move?
You know why? Because Julius reached his he maxed out. You got to get rid of cats before they lose they value. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't tell me you can get more for Julius now than you could have a year ago.
Yeah, but what about Brunson though? You said
how you say I betrayed Brunson?
No,
you know why?
Well, here's the
Julius
reason why I say that. I knew y'all would shake your head on that, but the reason why I'm saying that is because of the favoritism between him and Julius. I mean, and the coach.
Oh no, man!
His love for Brunson is keeping him. It kept Quickly from getting light, and it kept McBride from getting light. That's why I have
Because neither one of them guys are
I wouldn't
Brunson.
have a problem at all with Brunson if Mark Jackson was coaching the Knicks. It's just the relationship between Thibodeau and his favorite players that nobody else get no light.
He said he's compromised. Tom Thibodeau's
I mean, look, listen, Deuce ain't even close to being Brunson. IQ is good, but they're not better than Brunson.
No,
They're not even close.
And that's fine. And that's fine.
Not even close.
I'm not debating that. I'm just saying that you got a coach who only goes with who he likes. That's it. He ain't playing nobody else, and play him until you burn him out. Like you played Julius in the last game with a broken foot instead of giving Obi Burns. You come on. You can't say he didn't know his foot was broke or bad because right after the playoffs he wouldn't have surgery. Like right after. So I mean, you know, his come on, man. My problem is Thibodeau, and that's I mean, y'all don't think that Quickly should be getting more light. Y'all don't think that McBride should have been getting more light.
I mean, you know, Deuce. Listen. I'll say this. I know I got some other calls on. I'll let you rock, but Deuce.
Yeah, no, you did.
But Deuce. He started. He didn't start. He got minutes over Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose is Tom Thibodeau's boy. That's his man. And he put Rose on the bench and played Deuce until Josh Hart came. You know what I'm saying? And then obviously IQ has been getting minutes since he came to this team. There were times when Knicks fans were calling for IQ, bench him, sit him down. Nah, Thibs rocked with him. He played with him. I mean, listen, it's no doubt about it. Thibs has a circle of trust. He got players that he trusts. And I'm going to play these guys. But I think every coach is like that. I do. But, Darren, hey, I appreciate your time, man. Thank you for the call.
No doubt, big brother.
Appreciate
no
it.
doubt, big brother.
Appreciate you, brother. Peace. Damn, man. We want to trade Brunson?
He had me for a second too, Sam. He had me for a second, but when he said that, I was like, all right, yeah, this is
My thing is, he said he's 50. I'm like, yo, I understand if you don't like Thibs, but look at the coaches. He's the best coach since. How far back you gonna go when you answer that question?
Me.
But see, Tony, you like to get away with that. I don't use that as the metric for what the Knicks should do regarding hiring and firing coaches. Just because somebody is the best, that's not saying much. You know, Tom Thibodeau being the best coach that we've had in 10 years, like
so making the playoffs 2 out of 3 years, that's not saying much. Like,
no, I didn't say that. No.
I'm saying all that is collective of who he is as a coach. That's what I'm saying. I'm not just saying his name recognition is because we've had names. Names don't mean anything. I'm talking about his actual coaching is the best that we've had, and it's been productive.
But what I'm saying is that's not saying much. The Knicks have never, the last 20 years, they haven't been that much of a playoff team, right?
Listen,
so making the playoffs.
I asked you to answer the question dating back to when. You know what I mean? So I didn't put a timeline on it. I'm just saying he's up there, and he's doing a good job. That's what I'm saying.
Of course, and I agree with you. I'm not saying Tom Thibodeau is doing a horrendous job. I just think there's going to come a point, and like I said yesterday, I think he's on the clock. There's going to come a point where the Knicks are going to have to figure out that they can go with someone else to take them further. Tom Thibodeau is he's a great regular season coach. Great. In the playoffs is where he has most of the questions. Throughout his career, I might start just talking about with the Knicks. Throughout his career, and I look at this last playoff series against the Heat, there was some obvious mishaps coaching-wise from him. And I know we talked about the players and what the players didn't do, but let's talk about lineups. The Quentin Grimes and Josh Hart thing. When that lineup with Quentin Grimes was his most used lineup during the regular season, we didn't see that lineup till Game 4 in that Miami Heat series. And that was the most used lineup he used the entire season. And we didn't use it until the Game 4 and, lost that game, went down 3-1. Let's talk about, the obvious missed rotations and lack of offensive man movement and the wait until the end of the shot clock.
Did we see it in the first round?
No.
So
Matchups change, Tony. You have to adjust.
He had to get there to adjust. But if he didn't do it in the first round and it was successful, and then we didn't see it till game 4, it took him 2 games to adjust.
Right. No, it took him 4 games to adjust. We were down 3-1. 4 games. By that time, the series was already done. You know what I mean? You have to adjust. That's all I'm saying. You have to adjust.
I'm saying it's a work in progress. So the people who fire Thibs, like coaches have flaws just like players have flaws.
Yeah. And
but the results are undeniable. And people are acting like they're just denying the results.
I'm not. I appreciate the results. I'm saying he's on the clock. I don't want to fire him right now. I'm saying he is on the clock though for continued playoff success. At least that.
And for me, it's more. I'm just like this. When we plateau, I feel like that's when you need a jolt to move up to the next. Of course, you continuously trying to get better, right? But if you feel like you gave your coach all the pieces that he needs, and he's not getting the team over the top, then it's time to move on. You know what I mean? I don't know if the front office has given him all the pieces he needs yet. You know what I mean?
So let me ask you a question, Sam. If the Knicks go out and they go get big fish, wing/guard, would that accelerate the clock for you for Tom Thibodeau?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, for me right now, it's already, I want to see the Knicks get better. Even if they came back with the same squad, I'm like, okay, I know we got the same talent. That might mean, other teams got better. I know what that might mean as far as that's concerned. But let me see what I'm seeing with the team. Are they getting better in that regard? Are you learning how, because just like any job you have, right? What do they say sometimes? You get it, it takes 3 years to actually learn what you're doing on your job. As time goes on as a coach, you figure out better ways to use players. You learn better lineups. You figure out what players can do, and you start to use more. If you're doing the same old things, then you're not getting better as a coach either. You know what I'm saying? So, if they get better players, right? Your expectations go up, and if it's not getting it, then it's time to find someone who can get you there.
And to me, part of Thibs' growth, we've witnessed it in the benching of a Kemba Walker, in the benching of a Derrick Rose, in the benching of a Fournier, guys that are making more money, guys that got reputations with him personally, and him going to the younger guys, the guys that are producing, the guys that are giving him what he wants defensively, offensively, whatever the case. So, I mean, I think it's undeniable that he's still growing as a coach. Excuse me, as long as he's been in the league.
Okay.
No problem. Woj bomb though, Sam. Woj bomb.
Yeah, I know. Call, I'm about to get to you in just a second. According to Adrian Wojnarowski, the Boston Celtics are finalizing a deal to acquire the Washington Wizards' Kristaps Porzingis. Porzingis is opting into his $36 million contract. We don't know what that deal looks like yet, but it's a done deal, man. KP is on his way.
They had a midnight deadline for Porzingis to opt in to accept the trade to the Celtics.
Okay. So is it
5 minutes till?
So is it that original trade, or is this just Washington and Boston? Just Washington and Boston.
Correct.
Yeah. So there we go. Caller, you're live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
This is Keith. I'm from Atlanta. Well, I'm from Jersey, but I live in Atlanta.
All right. What's going on, Keith?
Well, first of all, let me give everybody their props. Sim, I appreciate your basketball knowledge. You're one of the few that I usually agree with for the most part. A couple things tonight I don't with.
Appreciate
Julio,
that.
I hardly ever agree with you, but tonight I got to give you props, man. I'm 100% with you on Levine. We got all these draft picks and we hoarding them all. At some point, we got to make a deal. And
appreciate it.
And I'm sorry, brother. I forgot, Chris.
Tony.
Sorry. I apologize, brother. I typically agree with most of what you say too. I listen to y'all all the time. I donate when I can, but this is my first call, so I appreciate y'all taking a minute for me. Everybody with the Thibs, firing Thibs talk. It's easy to just fire a quarterback. Fire a head coach. But who are you going to bring in to replace him? It's just, we at this point, if we had a bunch of young guys where we had a bunch of everybody on their first year contracts and all of that stuff, then yeah, you can get rid of them, get a Tony Atkinson or somebody, a developmental coach, something like that. But the team we got now is too far gone to go and get rid of Thibs for a not known coach. I just don't think we're going to do that right now. Every coach has their players and their favorites. If we were talking about Thibs nomads, then Alec Burks would still be on the team. So would Taj Gibson. So he's going to run Julius Randle in the ground just like he ran everybody in the ground in Minnesota and Chicago. We just know that's what he's going to do. The starters is all going to play over 30 minutes, especially if they, got the stamina to do it. And as much as they play Randle, people complain about him, but the fact is the fact. They drafted Obi Toppin to replace Randle. Nobody knew Randle was going to come out and have a superstar year the year they draft Obi Toppin. Had they drafted Obi Toppin, had Obi Toppin come out before when they had the Marcus Morris, if he had come out then, he would have got some time. Because we would have had that Julius Randle that was everybody knew was running to the paint, taking that little left spin dribble and giving the ball up, and we got a fast break going the other way. But that's not the Randle we got in Obi's rookie season. We got second team All NBA Julius Randle, which gets him the extension. Then he goes back and has the bad year, and look again. This year, another All NBA squad. I know he's got an attitude problem and everything else, but the numbers speak for himself. If there ain't too many players out there getting you 25, 10, and 5. That's the fact. So when he's putting those kind of production numbers up every game through the regular season, it's going to be hard for a player like Obi to get in. Tim, this is where I disagree with you. If they put Obi at the 3, he's going to get cooked every night. He's going to score 35 and give up 40. Now, if they want to put him at the 4 and go with the small ball and put thick Julius in there at 5, I'd even go with that better because at least Julius is strong enough to keep a body out the paint.
Right. So
if they're gonna go small.
So
if
when
we put Obi at the 3, guarding the wing.
Yeah. Well, I never. If
or
you
anybody of that nature.
Well, see, I always felt if you were gonna have Mitchell Robinson, Julius Randle, and Obi Toppin in the game at the same time, you would have Obi guarding the 4s and Randle guarding the 3s. I've always thought that could work. At least for short stints, not, for 30 minutes a game, but for short stints, I thought Randle could guard a 3, but Obi is guarding 4s and Mitchell Robinson could guard a 5.
Well, that I can see, and maybe I didn't understand because you said Obi at the 3. I'm thinking him guarding the 3 on defense as well. And in that position, I'm like, nah, I can see the mismatch on offense. So they're going to be just as much as a mismatch on defense.
Yeah,
more
that's without a doubt.
More nice than, But I'm just, the Levine thing, money works right. The last year before that CBA, we get somebody on the last year deal that's going to have to get an extension. They're going to get way more, put us that much closer to the cap. We got plenty of draft picks. They ain't really asking for draft picks for this year. I don't want to get rid of Quick and Obi. I absolutely don't want to get rid of Grimes because I just think Grimes is overall the more complete player. He's not the best offensively. That'd be IQ. And right now, IQ might even be a better defender. But Grimes goes out there and guards the best offensive wing player every night, and he's done a pretty good job. Gets cooked a lot, but hell, who doesn't get cooked in the NBA guarding the best, the opponent's best scorer night after night? So, But I apologize for taking up all the time. I appreciate it. Y'all doing a great job. and keep up the good work.
I appreciate you. Thank you, Keith. Keith, right? Yeah, appreciate you, Keith.
Yeah, no
doubt.
problem. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Woj bomb, Sam. Woj bomb.
Yeah, man. A lot of stuff happening right now. A lot of stuff going on. Marcus Smart is heading to Memphis. So Boston is trading Marcus Smart. But they're not saying who's coming back.
Tyrus Jones, the backup. John Moran's
Going to DC.
backup.
He's going to
Washington.
DC. Right. So, but who's going to Boston with Marcus Smart?
KP.
Right. Okay. So that's the whole. Is it a 3? It's not a 3-team trade though, is it?
Yeah.
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Boston gets Porzingis. DC gets Marcus Smart, and Memphis gets Marcus Smart, and DC gets Jones.
Yes,
I
Tyus
like
Jones.
Smart in
Okay,
Memphis.
I see it. Yup, Adrian will. Yeah, okay, I see what Adrian said. Washington is completing a 3-way deal with Boston and Memphis that will send guard Tyus Jones to the Wizards, and Marcus Smart is on his way to Memphis.
I like Smart in Memphis.
Okay.
I mean, Jones was good. He was a great backup. You know what I mean? I think he could start in this league.
Mm-hmm.
But Smart's toughness and defense and kind of holding the fort for 25 games. You know what
Good
I mean?
trade for all 3 teams. I think it's a great trade for all 3 teams. Boston got the guard who made that shot at the end. What's his name? The one who made the shot, the last second shot in the Eastern Conference Finals. The one off the bench with the bad hairline. What's his name?
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Derek Jones.
Derek White.
Yeah. So he's their new starting point guard. They still keep Brogdon as a ball handler off the bench. You know what I mean? Grizzlies get. Yeah, I like it. I like it for all 3 teams.
You know,
that actually might have worked out better.
Me personally, I felt like Marcus Smart was kind of that heart and soul of the team, man. I thought he brought the grit to the Boston Celtics. I think they're gonna miss that. I think they're gonna miss that grit that he brings to the team. We'll see how it works for him, and maybe they feel like that's not what they want anymore. But I feel like he brought that grit to that team, and I think they're gonna miss that. I think they're gonna miss that. We'll see. No, we'll see. There's interesting stuff going on. And they're gonna probably add some more pieces. I don't think they're done. Obviously, they're gonna have to. I don't know what they can do in free agency. I don't know what their money looks like. I'm pretty sure they're gonna be, over the cap and things like that. I guess we'll see what they do. But I do think they're gonna be missing that piece because. I thought he was their heart and soul. Call you live. Name me where you're from, please.
Hello?
Yes, sir. You there?
Oh, yeah, I'm here. It's NBIC from the Bronx.
Oh, say your name again?
First time caller. NBIC.
All right, what's going on, man? How you feeling?
Everything's good. So I just want to call in. It's my first time caller. So I just want to talk about the Knicks and their current state. So it's like, you look at this whole thing with Leon Rose. Leon Rose comes in and he does something that's generational, right? He gives us something that we haven't had in generations. We got a good front office, a great front office, and he gets all these, good players, young players, talented players, no superstars. But he lacks in development with these players. And then you get a coach that doesn't like young players, doesn't like to play young players. Zach LaVine was traded when he was young because they wanted a veteran player. So now we're going to get Zach LaVine now because he's a veteran now. And the coach tells you in the press conferences that he wants veteran players. Because he's not a good coach. He's a better assistant coach than he is a head coach. But it seems like everybody forgets this because he made us to the second round. He got us to the second round of the playoffs. Now, here's the thing. We're not going to win with him. Doesn't matter who we have. because everything that he's done in the history, if you look at his track record, he's done the same thing. For the 3 teams that he's been on, the trajectory is the same thing. He sours. He always wins Coach of the Year the first year. Second year, third year, he starts to sour, just like he's doing right now. Now, the thing about me is with Leon Rose, he's watching everything. He had an opportunity to get someone like an Ime Udoka or Ime Udoka, who players would have actually came to play with. Nobody's coming to play with Tom Thibodeau. A lot of players don't like him. So I don't understand how people keep talking about, oh, Tom Thibodeau is such a great coach because he got us to the second round, or because we haven't been that good since who would have thought? Tom Thibodeau's just not that good. He just has a talented bunch of players.
So you don't think the Knicks becoming a good team has anything to do with Tom Thibodeau? Because he literally took over a team that David Fizdale had the season before and turned them into a playoff team. So none of that was due to Tom Thibodeau?
This ain't the same team. If he had the same players Fizdale was the worst. But if he had the same players and he did that, then you can say that.
They did have the same players. When Tom Thibodeau took over, that was literally the same team. They added Derrick Rose midway through the season. There were a couple of small pieces, but you're talking about RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, Elfrid Payton, Mitchell Robinson. It was the same basketball team.
But that was, Sam, come on, seriously. That was an aberration. You know that. 2020, the Lakers won a championship in 2020. Come on. They were the 4th seed. We still have not come up to that same level because they were the 5th seed. And then the next year, he didn't make the playoffs.
So your solution is fire Thibs and get who?
But see, this is where I disagree with you, though. I know they didn't make the playoffs the next year, but I do feel like part of that was due to the injury of Derrick Rose, right? I feel like this team this year, even though they weren't the 4th seed, was better than that 4th seed team this year. I think they were better than that 4th seed team. You know what I'm saying? Okay. I feel like this team has been on they're on an upward trajectory. I feel like this team is. I'm not saying that Tom Thibodeau is definitely winning us anything, right? But I'm not going to discount what he's done with this basketball team.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that you're giving them too much credit. I think that the players are more talented than, we're giving them credit for. A lot of people crap on our team and our players. And you think about it like this. If Tom Thibodeau was to actually utilize the players the way that they're supposed to be utilized, how much better would we have been? And you look at it, because like I said, he does the same thing with each team that he's on as a head coach. And you also have to pay attention to who he beat in the playoffs. Because Tom Thibodeau he is a losing coach in the playoffs. And he beat somebody with a worse playoff record than he did. That's what you have to take into consideration as well.
You got to beat who's in front of you. I just feel like, we keep saying, okay, let's take Cam Reddish, for example, because everyone was saying the same thing about Cam Reddish. Oh, Coach Thibs ain't using him. He's ruining this. He's ruining that. He goes on to another team. Same thing happens to him there. So we keep saying that he's not using our players, or he's not using the players the way that they're supposed to be used, this and that. We really don't know. We haven't seen any of our guys that we have right now, besides Cam, go to another team to see what they're like on that other team. So we don't. So it's all hypothetical as far as, well, this guy can do this, we're not using that. This guy can do that, we're not using that. We really don't know until they go to another team and then see, can those coaches use them to whatever abilities we think Tom Thibodeau's not using them as. So far, the only guy we have is Kevin Knox.
Okay.
I mean, but Kevin Knox
that's
is
a
here
fair
for
point.
but really the only guy we have is Cam because Kevin Knox didn't even play. He didn't even play. I'm not even going to count Kevin Knox.
Under Thibodeau.
It's really Cam. That's the only guy that we know right now that Tom Thibodeau did not play him and went to another team, and everyone thought, well, it's Tom Thibodeau's fault. Goes to another team. He instantly is a starter, ends up getting DNPs. That's the only one we have. So we really don't know until we see what some other guys do. Some guys are going to move on and get traded. And when we see what those guys do, then I think we can make a better judgment as to if he's using the guys or not.
Well, this is what he does in his career. He's been doing this. And this is what I'm saying. Like, this is why. Okay, you look at it like this. The whole thing with Obi. Obi's strength. Has he been using Obi like that? No, because of his offense. He's not creative with his offense, and he only has one style of play. That's why he's predictable. So that's why he's a regular season coach, and that's why you got somebody like Spoelstra that exploited him. And if you look at his career, the only way he's only been to the Eastern Conference Finals once, and that's because he played a bunch of bum coaches, and he got lucky, and then Spoelstra again exposed him.
No, that's not true. But okay.
What do you mean? That's not true.
It's not true. It's not true because the next year Derrick Rose didn't play. The next year,
whose fault is that?
It wasn't Tom Thibodeau's fault.
Injure him?
No.
He didn't injure him in the Eastern Conference Finals? He didn't have a groin injury and play the dude while he had to play of a groin injury?
I mean,
when they played the Miami Heat?
I don't think so. He got eliminated. He hurt. He busted up his knee in the first round versus the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yes.
In the second year.
And you knew he had an injury and he kept playing him.
I don't think the groin injury had to do with him tearing his ACL. I don't think that's what it is.
He was injured already. And Tom Thibodeau, and he has a hinge in that year. That was his first year as coaching as a head coach. He had that history. He had that history for running down his players.
Yeah,
and then they didn't have anything for the playoffs.
I don't feel that that's the reason why he tore his ACL. But he did not play. Right? The Bulls got eliminated too. But look, the Bulls got eliminated in the first round. Right? The next year, I think the Bulls get eliminated in the second round. Derrick Rose is not playing in the playoffs. Derrick Rose doesn't return to the playoffs until like 13-14. Right?
That's true.
Or 14-15.
Yes, true.
Right? And when he did return to the playoffs, okay, they went to the second round. The next year, Tom Thibodeau was fired. Or after 14-15 or whatever it is, Tom Thibodeau was fired. So literally, when he had a healthy Derrick Rose, they went to the Eastern Conference Finals. The rest of the time in the playoffs, he didn't have Derrick Rose. Right? And then when he got Derrick Rose back, they get eliminated. He gets fired. The Bulls go on from there. They get Fred Hoiberg as their coach. Right? They get Fred Hoiberg as their coach, and they continue to slip into oblivion from there. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, when you look at Chicago,
you're missing the key point.
I mean,
you're missing the key point.
What's the key point?
The key point why Tom Thibodeau got fired was because he didn't listen to his coaching staff, and that's the same reason why he lost. Same reason why he got fired in Minnesota. That's why he got fired.
I think the circumstances in Minnesota really had to do with him being the GM and the coach.
But he still wasn't. It was that too, but he wasn't listening to his staff. And Minnesota was the smartest team out of all of the teams that he coached for, because they got rid of him when they saw that he was going to be a problem. And
what happened the next year? What happened the next year with Minnesota?
They still haven't. That's the point. They still haven't recovered from him. Neither team has recovered from him.
Got him, Jim.
No, I disagree. I disagree because we keep saying that he's not using his players, but he leaves and they got the same players and they don't get better. You bring in a different coach, the same players, and they don't get better.
I understand that.
You still have to hire the right guy. The
what
assumption is that you're going to hire the right guys.
But that's the thing. We keep saying that all these people are better. So get them out, bring in a new guy, and watch this team get better. And those two teams did not get better when they brought in a new guy with the same players.
That I get that. I'm not saying that. That's a different argument. The point is that while he was there, what he did. Now you tell me you tell me that you saw what happened in the Miami series, right? Mm-hmm. Do you think that Tom Thibodeau could have done what Spoelstra did?
Listen, Spoelstra is the best coach in the league. Yo. Tom Thibodeau is not good as Tom Thibodeau's not as good of a coach as Spo.
It's not like we chose Thibs or just Spo.
Right.
That's how people act.
We're not getting Spo. He is staying in Miami. There's only one other coach that's probably as good as him, and that's Pop. Not probably. That's as good as him, and that's Pop. We're not getting those two guys.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that we had an opportunity to get somebody in Ime Udoka, who's a CAA client, and somebody who's in his rookie year went to the NBA Finals. And he's a young coach. And see, this is the thing about Leon Rose that I don't get. If you're talking about starting long-term sustainable winning, why do you start it with a 62-year-old coach? That doesn't make any sense to me. You know how he is. You know how stubborn he is.
Yeah,
and you're not holding him accountable.
Because
that makes no sense.
Because I feel like
that makes no sense to me.
And Tony just said it. Maybe they felt like maybe Leon Rose felt like Tom Thibodeau knew and understood how to develop a culture, which I think this team has. Maybe they felt like he knew how to bring stability. He knew how to bring accountability, set standards. And I think it's the reason why you see the Knicks where they are. Because obviously you have players and there's other pieces, but I think that's part of it.
Yeah, but Tom Thibodeau, he has a short leash. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't keep him. He's, like I said, he's starting to sour. We're starting to see it. This is the sixth player that he's had issues with. Okay? And this is not looking good. If you tell me, if you're a superstar player and you see what's going on, the nonsense that's going on in New York right now, are you coming to sign with New York?
So what's the nonsense? What's the nonsense?
Okay. Like the other caller said, Kemba Walker, and I'm talking about how he dealt with the players. Now I'm not saying that Kemba Walker was end all be all, and this is what I'm saying. Kemba Walker, Evan Fournier, Derrick Rose, talked about Cam, and now Obi Toppin, and Deuce McBride. Now, I'm not saying that Deuce McBride is better than, I'm not going to say that, that's ridiculous. I'm not saying he's better than Brunson. But Deuce McBride didn't get a chance to do anything. And the fact that he didn't get a chance to do anything, it shows. But Deuce McBride is probably one of the best on-the-ball defenders that we have. And he doesn't even use – he's lucky if he gets 60 seconds. This is what I'm saying. Like, you don't utilize players to their peak, to their potential. You don't know what's going to happen with Deuce McBride. Everybody says, oh, well, he can't score. He can't do this. Okay, well, Tom Thibodeau can't do a lot of different things. But you don't see him being held accountable for anything. And what do you think that's doing to the culture? What do you think? That's why Obi flipped out. Because he's like, yo, you look at it, and then you got Julius Randle. Now, I don't think Julius Randle should be traded. I think Julius Randle should be used a different way. And if he used him a different way, because any good coach is not going to, okay, I'll give you an example. Shaq and Kobe, right? Mm-hmm. Shaq and Kobe didn't win a championship for 4 years. They were together for 4 years, didn't win a championship. As soon as they got Phil Jackson, boom, they win an instant championship. That's because Phil knows how to reach his players. Tom Thibodeau cannot do that. That's why he wants veteran players, because what does he say? They'll figure it out.
Yeah,
They ain't supposed to figure it out. He's supposed to do his job. And he's supposed to, if Julius Randle he has mental health issues, and this is your go-to guy? Really?
Would Tom Thibodeau win the championship with Kobe and Shaq?
Say it again?
Would Tom Thibodeau win the championship with Kobe and Shaq?
No.
Or with Mike and Pippen?
Of course not.
Okay.
No, he wouldn't win with them. You think Tom Thibodeau will win with Michael? What you think? Even if he had, listen, you could put Jesus, God, and Lucifer on the team, and he still wouldn't win. This dude is, listen, the dude is not that good. He's an assistant coach.
I'm not playing with Lucifer.
He won a championship with Doc Rivers because he's good at being an assistant. Because he can't handle the responsibilities of a head coach. He does not know how to reach his players. He does not know how to do certain things that a head coach can do. That's the bottom line, and this is what we've seen, and it's repetition.
Okay, so
under the last part.
Okay, so under Tom Thibodeau, Emmanuel Quickley was a finalist for Sixth Man of the Year.
Yes.
Julius Randle's been a 2-time All-NBA player, 2-time All-Star.
Yes.
Right? Under Tom Thibodeau.
All in the regular season.
I get that, but I mean, we're talking about the accolades. I mean, you said he can't reach his players. Jimmy Butler became an All-Star under Tom Thibodeau. Am I right?
Okay.
I mean, Jimmy Butler was an end of the bench guy. He became an All-Star under Tom Thibodeau.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, did he not reach those guys?
Okay. But what has he won?
There's a lot of coaches in the NBA. Nothing until he does. He hasn't won anything until he does. That's what I'll say.
But this is my
he hasn't
point.
won anything until he does.
You're not going to win. You're not going to win with him. And he's causing too many problems, and he needs it. Like, look, I can understand. Look, I can understand you getting a 62-year-old coach at the time. If his name was Phil Jackson, Pat Riley, Greg Popovich, Larry Brown, because they've all won. Okay,
Larry Brown.
You build. Okay, it's one thing to build the culture. I get
Larry Brown to build our culture. Larry Brown. We tried Larry Brown to kill our.
Yeah, not
to
with
build
us.
our
No.
culture.
Not with Isaiah Thomas. Okay, first of all, Larry Brown. You can't talk negative about him because first of all, he won a chip.
He did,
and he took Allen Iverson. He took Allen Iverson to the NBA Finals with nobody. So I mean,
I agree. He did do that.
He
did do that. No, I thought he was going to come in and change some things, but he turned out to be drama filled too. But listen,
That's because of Isaiah Thomas.
All right, it was a bad
Isaiah
culture
Thomas.
all the way around, no doubt about it. It was a bad culture. But
we had a bad front office. I'm talking about you put somebody in there that knows how to win, and with this front office, that's what I'm saying. We were more dysfunctional than we are now, and that's what I'm saying. Like you got to get rid of all that dysfunction. You can't have that and win a chip. We're not winning a chip with this dude.
I just don't feel like we have that dysfunction right now. I mean, I know them two got into what they got into. That's going to happen. We talked about it earlier. Like you're going to get into fights. You're going to get into arguments. I don't know if it's the kind of dysfunction. I don't know if we have that kind of dysfunction on this team right now.
The last thing I'm going to ask you, right?
All right.
Who do you think now, who do you think if the players are going to come to the New York Knicks right now, do you think there'd be more of because the whole thing is to make us more desirable place. Do you think we're more desirable with Tom Thibodeau, Ime Udoka, or Johnny Bryant? And thanks for the time. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. We keep talking about Johnny Bryant. Johnny Bryant hasn't proved anything as far as being a head coach, so I can't say whether or not players would want to play for him. I'm not going to poo-poo on Johnny Bryant or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? Is, we haven't seen anything of what Johnny Bryant. All we have done is heard that he could be a good coach. We don't know anything about Johnny Bryant. So, and people say, well, the players say Johnny Bryant helped me with this Bryant helped me with that. That's what assistant coaches do. They help you, they help you get prepared for the game. They talk to you about little ways to adjust your shot or do things like that. He might be a good coach. I'm not going to sit here and say, yeah, all the players are going to want to come play for Johnny Bryant. I don't know that. All right.
What you said yesterday about Paul George talking about Tom Thibodeau, he was talking to Tom Thibodeau as Tom Thibodeau was an assistant coach.
You're right. You're right.
USA basketball.
You're right. He was talking about Tom Thibodeau as an assistant coach as well. You know what I'm saying? But he has also a track record in the NBA.
As a head coach, absolutely.
He has a track record too. Udoka, I personally, this is me, and people might disagree with me. I want to see more. I want to see what he does with Houston. And I'm not saying he's got to take them to the playoffs this year or nothing like that. I want to see what he does with Houston because he inherited a championship level team, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? He inherited a championship level team that had a lot of parts there. Yes, he took them to the championship. People say he's a good coach, did some good things. I'm not knocking that. I want to see more from him. Before I say, oh yeah, players are going to line up at the door to want to play for him.
And it's the timing for Ime Udoka. Thibodeau was already here. That stuff happened in Boston way after Thibs got hired, after he already won Coach of the Year. So right. I don't think Udoka was a legit person for us to hire at the moment because we were with Thibs already. But what Tony said earlier, not Tony, but a lot of people ask this question, well, who are you going to hire? There's people out there for us to hire. It's not like if we fire Tom Thibodeau, Knicks would be in the middle of nowhere. You know what I mean? There's suitable candidates out there to take over this job. You know what I'm saying? To take us to another level.
But who? Who would you think is going to take over this job and do the things that you think Tom Thibodeau's not doing?
I think there's a ton of assistant coaches out there. Johnny Bryant, for one. We already got him on the team. Ton of assistant coaches that are continuously being hired around the league. Hardy got hired in Utah, which was a phenomenal assistant coach. Chauncey Billups was an assistant coach.
My point was, everybody.
I know he was, but where's Portland been?
Unproven and less experienced than Thibs. But my point in saying that was because everybody likes to say, "Oh, Spo outcoached him. Spo this, Spo that." He lost to Spo. There's no shame in that. He's one of the best coaches in the league. You know what I mean? Like,
no, there's no shame in it, but there's shame in when some of the coaching decisions that he made is the reason why you lost the series.
And I guarantee you, if you go back, I guarantee you.
My point is, if we're not replacing him with a Spo ran through the East. So every coach that he beat should get fired because they ain't beat Spo?
That's not what we're saying, Tony. That's not what we're saying. That's not what we're saying at all.
And I bet you there are series where Spo was out coached because they didn't win a championship every year. Guarantee you there was series where he was out coached. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's part of
got out coached the Denver series.
Do I think he got out coached? I think they were just overmatched.
Right. So that's not. So him being out coached is not the reason why they lost the series.
No, but what I'm saying is
multiple occasions.
But what I'm saying is I guarantee you, if you go back in its history, because they haven't won, they've lost championships, right? They've lost playoff series. I guarantee you that he's made mistakes as a coach. They've lost series because he didn't adjust.
And if you ask coach, right? He'll probably say, "Oh, I could have done a better job. I could have did some things, implemented some things to win the series."
That's what he's supposed to say. Like, so that's not really saying much. But Eric Spoelstra doesn't have a track record of losing in the playoffs due to his own decision.
To say, "Oh, in this instance, he was overmatched," but in you know what I mean?
Not just in one instance, Tony. Thibodeau has a track record, is what I'm trying to say.
But when he loses, it's overmatched. That's my point.
No one said that when Thibs wins, it's all about him out-coaching somebody. I'm talking about in that specific instance, as well as other series in the past, even back when he was in Chicago. He lost a series to the Wizards in the first round. He got out-coached that series too, and that's the reason why they lost the series.
That's what I'm saying. I was making the same point Sim made, that I'm sure he got out-coached in the past.
Yes.
Like, every time he loses, it's not because he's outmatched. And every time he wins, it's not because he out-coached somebody. That's
in a playoff series? In a playoff series?
Yes. In general. A game, a series, whatever the case. So anytime he wins, it's because he out-coached them, But every time he loses, it's because
He's
he was
outmatched.
overmatched.
I didn't say every time. I said
That was
I
the
named
only point I
specifics,
was making.
but it's not every time. I'm naming
No
specific
one is saying
series that
every
you can
time.
point
What
to.
we're saying is there's been times when he's been out coached. That's what we're saying. I mean, people keep, out coached them. Every team that didn't get to the NBA Finals probably got out coached at some point. Every
Probably.
coach.
We can't point to it. We can't
You know what I'm
specifically
saying?
point to it and say this is the reason why they lost the series.
Right, and you can't.
Every team in the East this year got out coached by Spo.
Come on, man.
We can say that definitively because
Milwaukee's coach got out-coached and got
they
fired.
wasn't picked to win any series.
Milwaukee's coach got fired because he was out-coached by Spo. He lost his job. So if that's what we're going to use, there you go. He got fired. Tom Thibodeau still has a job. The Knicks are not going to fire him, right? Boston's coach, Mazzulla, his first year coaching there. You can say he got out-coached there, but it's his first year. Tibbs has a track record in the playoffs, and I named two specific series in which he got out-coached, and that was the main reason they lost the series. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Two things can be true at the same time.
And he's been in the playoffs a lot, and he also made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. He also
you start naming unproven assistant coaches. So how does that make any sense?
But personally, I don't think you have to be proven to be a head coach in this league. I don't think you have to be proven.
But
I'm just talking about what happened.
You're using his track record against him against a guy who has no track record. How does that make sense?
I'm using his track record against him to tell you what the facts are and why people are upset about Tom Thibodeau. That's what I'm telling you. But to say that there's no other, to ask the question, who's going to replace him as if Thibodeau is the best thing we've had and that we shouldn't replace him because he's the best thing we had, to me, I don't think that's fair either. I think other people have a good point when it comes to Tibbs.
These unproven assistant coaches, those are going to replace Tibbs and do what definitively? And like what are you basing off that they're going to be better
do?
than
Because you don't know.
Younger, but because they're younger, and they fit,
right?
But you don't even know their coaching style. You don't know their defensive coaching style. You don't know their management style. You don't know if they can manage other coaches. There's more to just being a head coach. You don't know any of that because they're unproven. So how do you know that they're going to come in and do the things that Tibbs ain't doing? You don't.
You don't know.
You don't know.
But what we do know is what Tibbs is doing right now. That's what we do know.
And what we do know is that right.
That's what everybody's upset about.
Right. They are. They're upset about it. But what we also know is that since Tibbs has been the coach of this team, this has been a very different basketball team. They've made the playoffs 2 out of the last 3 seasons.
Absolutely.
That's also
no one's
a fact.
taking that away from Tibbs.
That's also a
fact. No one's taking that away from Tibbs. That's a part of the conversation. And that's why I don't want him fired right away. I'm just saying there's legitimate fervor from some fans about Tom Thibodeau. Like, it's not just one way or the other. It's in the middle. Both things can be true at the same time. That's where I'm coming from.
The grass ain't always greener. The grass ain't always greener.
Well, for us, it is right now, right? And that's why I don't want him to go anywhere. Y'all want to keep him? I get it.
It's just not always greener. Caller, you're live. Name me where you're from, please. Hello. All right. Guess they're not picking up. Guess they
think they went to get some popcorn, son.
So, right. I don't know. I'm not answering that guy. This one guy keeps calling up. You guys can't hear it in the background. I can hear it in the background. While we're talking these I'm like, I'm not picking this dude up. I don't know who this dude is. It's late anyway. It's almost 3 hours, man. I'm about to get up out of here.
Oh, yeah. We got to.
But I actually, before I forget, I got a couple of super chats. I always I be forgetting these sometimes. Okay, I know who this is. Kareem, what's popping with you, brother? How you feeling?
It was good, son.
What's going on, man? I can't wait to see you next Saturday. Oh, before you even talk, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure. I see a couple people during the show registered for the draft party tomorrow at Legends. All right, it's going to be a dope show. We're going to have a good time. And hopefully the Knicks are going to do something during the draft. All right, so make sure you come out. There's a link tagged to the top of your YouTube chat. There's also a link in the description of the video. Free event. Come on down, join us, jump on the podcast, all of that. Have a good time. And then next week, next Saturday, July 1st, We have our first annual NBK cookout. My man Kareem, who's on the line now, is going to be there at the cookout. All right. It's going to be dope. Music, food, basketball games, regular just games, card games, all of that good stuff. You know what I'm saying? Just good, hanging out with family and all of that. It's going to be very, very dope. So make sure you join us. The link is also in the description of the video. And I just put the link in the YouTube chat, all right, so that you can register. Join us. It's $20 for an adult, $10 for children. It's free for kids 3 and under. All right, so make sure you come join us out. Come join us. It's going to be dope. We're going to have a great time, man. Tony's going to be there. I don't think Uncle Fudio is going to make it up from Charlotte. That's a long, that's 10 hours to Albany, but you know what I mean? But it's going to be dope. Kareem, what's popping? You're going to be there. What's up? What's good with you, bro?
Hey, what's up, fam? Hey, Sim, man. I think you need to start drug testing people before they get on the phone, bro. This blasphemy, man. Oh, this fan base, man. Even in the chat, bro. Like I see these absurd takes, bro. So let's address what he said about Thibs, right? Now, let's be real, bro. The roster that he had with Chicago, right? What were they gonna win, bro? So it's like Thibs, it's the same thing with us right now, right? What Thibs does, he comes in, bro, because remember, the year before Thibs came in, who did they have? Vinny Del Negro in Chicago. Trash. Did nothing. Thibs come in. They start winning. But you're not adding. Thibs always gets these teams, bro. They overachieve, but they never add any, vital pieces to get him to the next level, bro. So we clearly, what was it? So basically going to the series with Miami, right?
Mm-hmm.
What could he have done with what he had to beat Miami? First of all, let's be real. The last AC to make a championship was the Knicks against the Spurs. They had a historic season that rarely happens. It's like seeing a groundhog and a unicorn playing tag in the park. It's like, bro, you rarely see it. It's not, never see it.
Right.
Like, where do we get these takes from, bro? Then we talking about getting to the next level, right? Knicks fans is like a fat chick on a dating site, right? Acting like they got all these options, but you better take that homosexual that keep hitting you up. It's like we talk like we've been a winning franchise, man. This is insane to me. I don't want this dude. This team needs to get better, man. Like it's always these asinine arguments, man. It's crazy, bro. Like the man has clearly brought us back to a winning franchise, man.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question, Sim.
Yes, sir.
If we had this same team with another coach, do we make the second round? Do we even make the playoffs with another coach in this roster?
To me, it just depends on who the coach is. If it's Spo, I believe so. If it's Pop, I believe so. You know what I mean? There's some other people out there.
Those are great coaches. I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, there's other people out there that could probably take you there. Maybe Mike D'Antoni. They wouldn't be that great defensively, but maybe he opens them up offensively. I mean, there's some coaches out there that I think could get him there too.
And I'm glad you said that, Sam. When you talked about, you just mentioned the word offense. Now, I don't know if people are aware of this, right? And defensive, so we talked about this in the Twitter chat a few months ago. I mentioned it, right? Please go and look up a defensive system. And the defensive system, though, the offense don't look pretty. You understand what I'm saying? It's about this usually defense that leads to easy transition buckets. That's mainly what a defensive system is. You see what I'm saying? There's no pretty offense orchestrated in there whatsoever. Now, I can understand that argument. Well, maybe a defensive system, a system that's heavily defensive based may not work in today's basketball. I can understand that argument. But before, remember, we explored the option of bringing an assistant that can implement a better offensive system or tweak the system. Because I've heard Josh say this before, and I agree. We have no all ball. It's like our all ball movement is limited, bro. The spacing is horrible at times, and it's very ISO heavy with Randall and Brunson. You feel me? So it's just crazy. Then the caller was saying about, I ain't gonna lie, but that caller was crazy, bro. Like, it's telling you, bro.
Which
like,
one?
They got some amazing substances out. The previous one, man. There's some amazing substances out on these streets, bro. They need to crack down out here. Like, it's getting crazy. But he brought up the Lakers situation, bro. They had Bill Burker, Magic Johnson, Del Harris, Bill Burker again, Kurt Rambis before they got Phil Jackson. Where were those coaches taking Shaq and Kobe? To go get some ice cream? Some burgers? Like, these are crazy arguments, man.
Yeah.
Crazy arguments. Like, it's just insane, bro. I think we need to get some, like you said, shooting and ball more. But I think I was even saying, like, I was thinking about this too, man. 1 or 2 shooters that we could plug in the various lineups.
Mm-hmm.
If we could just do that, because I don't know what the market is. Like, you know, I know free agency is next week, correct?
Starts
usually right after
June
the draft,
30th,
right?
July 1st. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, you know, but if we could get, because we need some snipers outside, man. You know, that we could dish out to, man. You know, and get them hitting shots. You know, and also too, man, like you said, big men that can shoot. Because I remember Richard Robinson, man. He went on Twitter through this whole fit, bro. Got the ball past him the next game, missing layups over midgets, bro. Come on, bro. Going on rants. They can't even shoot a basic layup, bro. And I'm gonna tell you something, Sam. I gotta put this out for the league, man. If you 7'3", bro, and you shoot a layup on my team, you will never play again, bro. If you don't dunk on that person, bro.
I feel you.
Patrick Ewing with your finger roll, bro. Yeah. 7'2", 7'1", shooting finger rolls. Come on, bro.
I feel you on that.
No, my bad. I'm turning to the last caller. I think the substance got me too. Cut me off. I'm being a Negro right now. Cut me off. I went too far. I'm going too crazy with it. I'm rambling now.
Salute, Kareem.
Hey,
Salute,
Kareem,
brothers.
man. I'm looking forward, bro, to see you next Saturday,
fellas.
man.
Yeah, I'm gonna be there with my messed up ankle, man. I'm gonna be up there with the I'm gonna have like some goggles. I'm gonna be to a basketball game or something.
No doubt, man. I'm looking forward to you, bro. Hey, I appreciate the call, man.
Likewise.
All right.
Good night, fellas.
Peace. Yeah, I'm gonna get to these super chats, man. Then I'm gonna get up out of here. It's late.
About that time.
Real quick. My challenge to those people with those narratives about Thibs is tell me what those teams did after he got fired. Tell me how successful they were afterwards. Because I mean, if you want to bring up the track record of what he did, I want to know what that team did after he was gone. Did they improve? Was that next coach the answer?
No.
Tony, we already went over that. We already went over that, man.
Oh, so
they didn't get better.
They did it?
No.
No.
None of them got better.
So
I mean, it's only been 2 of them, but you know.
I mean, so that should mean something too, right?
Yeah, you have to hire the right guy. That's what I've been saying. You still have to hire the right person. Now we never will know who that person is. I'm just challenging the fact that who we gonna get? There's no other body out there that's better than Thibs. I just disagree with that. I just disagree with that. Whether the person has experience or not.
I never said there's no one better.
Not you.
But
I'm just
saying my point is people want to fire just to be fired when there's no clear-cut alternative. And that's my point.
Okay, I'm gonna go on a limb. I'm gonna give somebody a name that's never been a head coach before that I think would come to this Knicks team and help us out tremendously. JJ Redick. Because of the style of offense that he played and the style of basketball that he played in college and some of the teams that he's been on in the NBA as a role player. I think he knows a lot of basketball and can come in and be a head coach.
Right. But how do you know that he has the ability to deal with personalities?
He's been an NBA player. He's been in locker rooms.
That doesn't mean anything.
And why does it mean that he's gonna win in year 1 or year 2 or year 3? Like no matter what, there's steps to success. You know what I mean? You can't skip steps.
I mean,
is that a Thibs?
Joe Mazzulla was a first year head coach, got to the NBA Finals. I mean, got to the Eastern Conference Finals. So it's possible for it to happen.
What did the coach do before him?
Went to the NBA Finals.
So did he exceed his predecessor, the guy before him?
I'm not asking for the new Knicks coach to come in and just automatically exceed what Thibs has done here. I'm just saying, moving forward in the future, not immediately, there might be, a same hiccup in that first year, right? But moving forward, Thibs is not going to be here long term. To squash this whole thing, what if Leon Rose and Thibodeau already knows that Thibs is going to be on a certain timeline? What if that's the case?
I mean, that's
and we're just having this discussion.
I think that's fine too.
We don't
know.
But
then we don't need to be talking about firing him. What if he gets us to the level, to his peak? I don't think he's peak. That's all I'm saying. Let him get us to his peak, and then when it's time to move on, it's time to move on. I just don't think it's time yet.
Oh, me neither. I've been saying.
And my thing is, I don't mind moving on to a coach that's going to get you there. I don't know who that is right now. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people keep saying Ty Lue. Maybe it is, maybe it ain't. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if Ty Lue's going to be the same kind of coach that Tom Thibodeau is or not. I mean, he won with LeBron.
And he's always had more talent. Even currently, he has more talent.
Right? You got to look out, who has he had too? That he went someplace with. I mean, when Tom Thibodeau had a player, well, Derrick Rose wasn't even at his peak. But when he did have Derrick Rose playing at, his highest level, they went to the Eastern Conference Finals. They lost. The next year, they came back and they had the number 2 seed in the entire league in a shortened season, 15-16. Then he ends up getting hurt.
There's a ton of first-year coaches in the NBA, first-year head coaches in the NBA right now that are doing well, that never been head coaches before, that are doing well or doing better for what was expected for their teams.
I'm not saying that they can't. I'm not saying that they can't. I'm not ready to say that guy is going to come in and do better than Thibs when we don't even know what their philosophy is as far as coaching and if they can manage people or anything like that. We wouldn't know as fans. Maybe inside they would know because they've seen them doing certain things with, in camps or in this and that. And, so inside, I think they would know about some of these young guys.
Too. Interview well, get recommended for the job, stuff like that.
Right.
It's a process.
Let me get to these. Jay, thank you for the super chat. And let me fix it so you're not covering up Tony's face. If I can do that. Hold on. Well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to fix it, so we might just have to do it. Said Cam is not a good example because Thibs has never been a fan. He never wanted him. The Cam issue has been desire, motor, IQ question, etc. Flip Spo and Thibs, Knicks versus Heat. Spo beats Thibs in 5. You know it. But we're still talking about Spo. Right? No one's arguing that Thibs is better than Spo. Jay.
And the camp part was really about he had the opportunity in Portland. That has nothing to do with Thibs at that point.
Right.
And he started, got benched, went out of the rotation.
Yeah. Jay said, explain players voting Thibs and Silas, top 2 coaches they don't want to play for. He has to be a reason players league, right? I'm going to go back to what I said before. Everybody wanted to play for Mike D'Antoni, supposedly. Nobody came to play for Mike D'Antoni when he was in New York. And Mike D'Antoni hasn't won a championship either. Right? But he was the player's coach. He was the guy.
In your opinion, is Mike D'Antoni more successful as the head coach than Tom Thibodeau? Despite they both have championships.
I think so. I think so. He went to the Western Conference Finals.
In general?
No, definitely not for the Knicks. Definitely not for the Knicks. But he's been to the Western Conference Finals with the Phoenix Suns. once?
Twice. I think. Twice.
Possibly could have won a championship one year if guys didn't get injured, I think. And
come
then,
off the bench during the fight. The fight that happened.
And then Houston, did they go to these Western Conference Finals?
CP3 was hurt or something. Or Harden was hurt. One of them was hurt. And they lost in like game 7.
Yeah.
To Golden State.
Okay.
Yeah, that was when they should have won the fight. Like, they could have won everything that year.
I would say he's definitely more accomplished in that regard. I would say he definitely had better players, too, in his career. You know, and that makes a difference, I think. You know what I mean? So, you know, I don't know. You know what I mean? Who are the players that they asked? Which ones?
Was it David West?
You know, Jay, thank you for the super chat. He said, okay, Sim, does Thibs take Miami to the finals? Again, we're talking about Spo and Thibs again. Thibs is not better than Spo. Joshua O'Cran, salute MBK fam. It's been a minute. I hope everyone is blessed. At least we don't have Wayne Ellington, Jason Smith, Shane Larkin on our bench. No doubt about that one. For real. And then D. Cooley said, that's Big Bubba Sim bookcase fell.
He's talking about the caller.
The caller. And, you know, I meant to bring it on, but Isaiah didn't jump on. He sent me a picture. He texted me a picture with the bookcase that had like 5 books on it. All to one side, which means that bookcase is mad wobbly. So if he put them out evenly, it's still going to wobble. He had to put them all on one side for it to be stable. I'm going to bring the picture on next time I'm on. I'll see him tomorrow, too. But anyway, I'm going to get up out of here, man. Josh, any last words before we get out of here?
Hopefully the Knicks are active later today.
Yeah, later today. Yeah, no doubt about it. Later today. Tony?
I appreciate you, man. I wish I could be there tomorrow, so hold it down for me. I'm there in spirit. And like I said, I'll hit you up afterwards, see if we can do that.
Yeah, no doubt. You know, I see some people say I want to get on the call. Listen, I'll be back. I'll be back. Well, we'll be live tomorrow night. I don't know if we're going to be able to take calls. We'll see. It's possible. But then after tomorrow, I'll probably be back on maybe once over the weekend, but definitely Monday. So if I didn't get to you tonight, I apologize for it. But I'm getting up out of here, man. It's almost 1 o'clock in the morning. We've been on for like 3 hours. I thought this was going to be an hour-long show. Been on for like 3 hours.
It's my fault.
But it was
the Woj bombs kept coming up.
For real. Nah, but it was a fun show. You know, it was a good show. Please don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, to at least take a look at our first annual NBK Cookout. Take a look at our joining us tomorrow night at the draft party at Legends. You know, it's going to be fun. It's going to be dope. But, hey, we're going to get up out of here. I appreciate your time. Get some rest or keep working or whatever it is that you got to do for the rest of the night. But for me, Josh and Tony, we're out of here, man. Peace.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.